What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn to Trade, not Learn How to Trade. I got it right this time. Formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl Adara. I am Sharif, and as per usual, we're gonna wait for the entire of the viewers to populate over from the other stream, and then we're gonna get going here on our lesson. We're maintaining the theme of the week, which is level 2. And today we're going to talk a bit about some trading strategies using level 2. We're going to talk about spread trading or buyout trading. We're gonna, you know, there's not much of a difference between them. And there is the breakout trading. So that is probably going to excite people a lot more, and ones that I've encountered a lot more as well. Buyout trading is one of the techniques over here. All right, let's see who's in the house. Adam DeLuce, Matt Booth, Callum Mitchell Miller, Mr. Longshorts. We got Roger, we got Leroy, we got Big Nimit as well. Raj, Nuno, Randall, Fat Figure, of course, Fat Figure's there. There we go, and I like the little cat emoji or tiger emoji there. The one, Zippy Zane. I love my niece and nephew. They're like, yo, you're not him, bro. You're not the one. You're not, yeah. And my nieces always say that to my nephew. So funny.
Whew, that's funny.
All right, how's your day?
My day has been good. Microsoft making higher highs. We were just talking about Microsoft.
We were.
Yeah, Sharif was just like, look at Microsoft and Meta. And I like this bottom area on Meta. Like, look, this 385, held it pretty decently, chopped and turned around it, then held it. Then we swooped up.
Oh, yeah. Well,
after holding like this 380, almost 387. Yeah, I mean, we were in the process of swooping, I guess, while we said it. But now we have. It has been completed.
We got to pay homage to Hobie. Obi. Microsoft and Meta are distinctly different than the rest of the trading bunch today in Mag 7 names. Very strong, Adara, on both these names. Let's look at them here. Here is the trusty chart just before we start the lesson. Meta, near highs. We're talking about 50 pennies now, even less, 40 pennies or so off that 375 and 2/3 high. Microsoft making highs as we speak, knocking on the door of 388. It overtook Apple as the world's most valuable company. They flip spots often, these two. Microsoft in the lead now. Adara, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, and NVIDIA. The bottom row on my charts here all have that chevron-looking shape. They all made that upside-down triangle or whatever, triangle, and they're looking to, you know, possibly come into lows here. Some more than the other. Obviously, Tesla a lot weaker than the rest. Apple barely green on the day. Amazon barely red on the day, Adara. And then you got NVIDIA down 0.5%. So we're going to keep our eye on some of these Mag 7 names. They were kind of insidey this morning, especially when we started giving up the initial move. But now they've started, well, some of them have started to pick up again. Even Google getting in on the action here, Adara, coming into that 143 area near highs. Ooh. It's about 8 pennies off the highs as the NASDAQ retraces back above 16.5. So we're going to have to see what we get. I had a couple of orders set, so I just want to tell you guys about that. I had an order for Meta set near VWAP. It came close twice over here. Neither of which got filled, so I'm probably going to have to move up that order if I want to participate. But I do like the look on Meta. It is it's been strong as of late, making obviously several year highs. But we're going to also have to look at Softy, especially with what it's doing now. The other one that I have an order on is AUVI, and it's a small cap gapper du jour. However, I have not participated in AUVI because it has not met my requirements for small cap gappers. What are those requirements? Nobody asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Is that it has to break through its pre-market high. And this one got going at 7 a.m. Derek. Looks like the news hit there on the algo spike, and it got into that 339, technically is a pre-market high. As such, I have an order sitting on the other side of 340 at 341 with a 4 or 5 penny spread in case liquidity is an issue at that level. So I am looking at participating in AUVI. Did well on what was it? AS or whatever? LAIS, thank you, yeah. LAIS, yesterday on small cap gappers. So even though we don't have any triple digit small cap gappers today, I am looking to participate in this one. All right. Anything you want to add before we start the lesson?
I mean, I will say, because Neil made this pun earlier and I did not, because we don't pun at the big desk. But CRGE surging to the upside here. This actually is a 3-digit, but it's a penny stock, so not of the same caliber. Also, its name is Charge Enterprises, so the surging is even more accurate here.
Oh wow!
Really good look on this one. Just hanging out by the 9-day EMA. Literally, if I was a penny stock person, I'd consider getting involved in this, I think, just because we do have higher highs, higher lows. I might put this on my side chart. Lily's under $1 million. I do not dislike the look of this.
Wow, you hit Lily under $1 million, eh? You went for that hard right away.
I
All right,
did,
sorry.
yeah. Let's get into
I want to mention one more other order that I had. I forgot to mention this one on Tesla. You and I talking about this off camera, Adara. We had that 220 consolidation, 220-ish, let's call it 220-ish, consolidation bottom in the pre on Tesla. So I was thinking, all right, let's see if we can get that 220 defend. So I have a small order here in that area. There we go. It looks like it's going to get filled. I just got the notification on my platform that it is crossing that $250 area. Let's see if we do get the fill here and whether or not it holds that level. So we're going to have to wait. I know we're waiting a little bit here to start the lesson, but just want to see if this is going to fill. There we go. We got the fill on TSLA. So this one, we're going to, my out on Tesla for a stop is going to be the break of the pre-market low. The break of the IB low, excuse me, which is 219.60. So I'm going to go on the other side of 50s at 219.40-ish, and then I'm going to basically, that's going to be the end of that. So I'll send it to you for a second while I put in my order.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about this earlier when you were saying that, that Meta and Microsoft look better than the rest. I was like, you know what? Better than the rest, I may as well. I had to do it. We have to add to the Tesla rhymes. I just thought of that. Also, I have DAL up right now, which is Delta Airlines, which I was telling Neil this morning. I can't believe I just realized is because Delta Airlines and not because D, A, and L are all in Delta's name, which is kind of what I thought. So we're learning new things every day. But I do like this decided failure of this range, this 39.80 to about 40-20 area. We were like having this nice little pre-market move. Then we open and we swoop down with the viciousness. What makes me interested is we do have a slightly higher low here. This could be a little bit of a smiley face recovery. I don't want to go long in a name that's down 8% in the day, mind you, but if I see a little bit more confluence, a little bit more confirmation, not confluation of this move, I might get long, see what we kind of do here, because I think that the fact that we just made a higher high and a higher low, I don't dislike. I'm noticing it, I'm keeping it in mind, and I might put it on my side chart for now just to kind of give,
very good.
Keep it on my mind. Some of these bank names too. I was looking at Citigroup earlier, and I also like again looking at levels. I like that we're stalling out here at this 51.35-ish area, right? Like I don't know what we're gonna do here, but if we continue long off this bottom, like this is from where we surged right after earnings is 8 a.m. and then we've fallen down there since then. But if there's some abilities for ranges, I would be very interested here.
Okay, so Tesla did do a nice bounce. Ooh. I have a couple of beak wetters here at the one. We're almost back a buck. Getting that nice initial bounce. It's whether or not we get that sustained move back up on TSLA. We definitely held 220. There's no question about that. So the buyers were there. Are the buyers going to continue to be there? That's the question. 2 outs already on this bad boy. The next already waiting at the $1 area, 221.15. Let's see if we get that move. Sorry, 19. Let's see if we get that move through the $1/4 area. Good momentum so far on Tesla as the market now bounces. So some confluence there between the Tesla. There we go at that level. Looks like there's some confluence between 220 and the market bounce that we got on the NASDAQ, which was right at that pivot point area. So nice move on TSLA right now. Let's see if we get that move back up, possibly into VWAP next on Tesla. VWAP on my chart, Adara, is 222.50-ish. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit to see whether or not we get that sustained move. Anyway, the market finding some aggressive buying right now, moving us possibly, we'll see. We haven't made a new higher high on the NQ, but possibly into 17,000 again if we get that test. I know I want to start the lesson, and I'm sorry for delaying, but just trying to get through these trades here possibly.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, let's just put another beak wetter there at 49, Adair, and we'll see what we get there.
Yeah, congrats on that. That moved with like a swiftness. Oh my gosh! And I was like, I saw the Dollar Tree Club, and I was like, that's crazy. Like,
it was quick. I mean, it was a defensible level in the pre, and that's why I liked it.
No, it's a good level.
It really did consolidate. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Let me just show you real quick here on TSLA. It was a long period of bottoming here. I mean, to me, I get it. It's on lower volume. It's in the pre, but this is a lot of repetition to be touching at this level. This is from 545 till around 9:30. We weren't able to break that level. We did perfunctory break, right? Because we got into the 219.60. So it was a quick break of that 220, then right away we got back up. So I was like, all right, let's see what we get on Tesla. But Softy is absolutely pumping to the high side, guys. 388.50 now, the high. It continues to make more aggressive moves. It's coming into resistance level 1 on the pivots. We could be at 389 real soon. Softy definitely outperforming on the day. Almost 1% right now, 0.99. Meta still outperforming Softy though, up 1.6, but the chart looks a little bit better here on Softy than it does on Meta. And then we got another fill there on Tesla as it breaks through the $0.50. Tesla aggressively moving up off support at 220 Adara.
Nice.
Let's just start the lesson now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. How to trade with level 2 data with 2 specific strategies. The one we're going to talk about today, the 2 that we're going to talk about today are what you can call it low liquidity. I mean, there's really no, I want to call it spread trading. I mean, the book here calls it low liquidity trading, but I don't think that that's accurate because some buyouts, spread trading, which you do on buyout trades, are actually very high liquidity. And essentially what you're trying to do here is you're trying to find a stock that just got bought out by another company. And typically you'll see this gapping up, sometimes high double digits, sometimes even triple digits. But then after the big gap up, that one candle that just shoots up, you have a really long period of sideways consolidation where the price can fluctuate depending on the price of the stock, of course, but it's very limited. So if it's an $80 stock, it might fluctuate a couple of bucks. If it's a $10 stock, it'll fluctuate, 15, 20 cents. The point is, it stays in that very tight horizontal range the rest of the day, or the majority of the rest of the day. And what you're trying to do there is you're trying to get a bid, you're trying to buy on the bid and sell on the ask. And you keep repeating that strategy over and over and over. And it's one of the better trades that some of the traders here do on the floor. It's one of the ones that's taught a lot. Let me just take another piece out there on TSLA as we break through the 221 and 2/3. So essentially what we're trying to do, and I don't have a buyout here that I can show you on the day, sadly. I'm looking for one that maybe even like remotely similar, but I'm not seeing one. Yeah, here we go. This one is good. This one is IAG on the New York. Okay, perfect. Let's go over here. IAG on the New York. And so what you were doing here with this one, see how it kind of made that huge move up, but this one is not obviously a buyout, but what you'll see is a very sideways movement. So it'll be like very sideways driven with maybe 10 pennies, 20 pennies worth of range, if that. I mean, it can be even 1 or 2 pennies worth of range. And we've seen some traders on the floor, take 1 penny with like several 100,000 shares. So they'll sit there on the bid, right? Say at $2.49, and they'll sit there for a 100,000 share order. Say they'll get filled, or say they'll get partially filled, and then they'll go right into the ask because it's basically moving 1 penny, maybe 1 or 2 pennies. They'll go right to the ask and they'll try to sell that entire position for 1 penny. So they'll do 2 things here. They'll get that penny on a lot of shares, like 50,000 shares, and they'll also get their rebate, because that's one of the things we do around here. We add liquidity into the markets, and by adding liquidity into the markets, we get paid back by the market maker for trading. So you're able to make money in 2 ways using that method. And the reason that it's important to use level 2 is because you need to know where the size is, right? You need to know that if I get in 100,000 shares at $2.49, there's somebody behind me that's going to backstop if this thing really comes down. So you really need to be looking at the book and be like, okay, look, I'm at $2.49, that's my bid, but at 248, there's a 1 million share order, and at 247, there's a 2 million share order. So you need to analyze the book for your support, and you also need to analyze it for your resistance, because you want that 1 penny move up. You're trying to get filled on the bid and sell on the ask, or sell on the ask and buy on the bid if you're shorting. Same thing. So you need to know, is it going to be able to make it up that 1 penny? How much is the resistance versus how much there is for support here? So you need to look at the buy and sell imbalances for this particular type of trade. And it's very important to understand what you're looking at on the book. And sadly, we don't have an example today that I can show you unless somebody knows, one in the chat, and you can tag me. So that's basically what we're trying to do here. We're trying to buy for a very small move with a lot of shares, and then sell for a very small move, that equal amount of shares on the top. So I just want to make that point. It's a very tricky type of trade. Usually it's one that we do on the floor here because, right, you need a lot of buying power because you're going to take a lot of shares to make money using 1 or 2 penny moves. And number two, the rebates. I don't know if you guys get rebates from your brokers, but here it's kind of basically we know which gateways to use to be able to get those rebates, and that's part of the learning process here. So if you are outside the United States and you want to learn about this whole thing, check out, do we still have the campus program? Check out the campus program, and they'll teach you all about this style of trading, because it's basically how I learned about it. I didn't know anything about it prior to that. All right, so second type of trading we're talking about today is breakout trading. And this is the one that I like. So it's kind of almost the exact opposite of what I did here on Tesla. So when Neil was talking about a breakout trade going against you earlier, he had really good reason to say that. And he had really good reason to say, you know, be careful if it goes against you right away. Because I was just telling Adair, there's something called a specialist breakout. So let's say there's that 500 top on NVIDIA. How long did NVIDIA keep flirting with 500? A while, right? Let's say we wanted to take that 500 breakout on NVIDIA. Number one, the first thing we'd be looking for is how much size is there on the level 2 at that 500 level on NVIDIA, right? Back when it was at 500. And then how much size above 500 is there, like at the 510, 525, 550, et cetera. Okay? You need to analyze how much size there is against you. And in the same way, you need to look for any size moving up with you. So as the price starts making its way up to that $500 area, you need to look at the bid on the level 2 to see where, if there is size moving along with you, because you need to know that big money is going to backstop you should this thing fail. And you also want to look at the intentions of the bigger buyers. Are they moving up? Are they getting very excited as it comes into the 500 as we approach that level? So all that you kind of have to do in real time, which is, you know, a tough assignment. Let's just put it that way. So that's breakout trading. Obviously, many different strategies. If we have a breakout trade in real life, yeah, in real life, if you can tag me in the chat, and I'd absolutely love to talk about it.
In the wild.
In the wild, yeah. Guys, when I was talking about the buyout trade earlier, that is something we teach, like, you know, here at Day Trade the World. So make sure to check out the campus program, Fabian. Could we do it? We don't have the banner? Okay. I thought we had the banner. Make sure to check out the Day Trade the World campus program. I'm sure they'll be able to put up the banner, and you'll be able to scan the barcode there. There we go.
Nice.
Scan that barcode, baby.
Kickstart your career in capital markets.
I know you'd like that.
I do like that. I also have a question.
Go.
So for the breakout trades, because they seem like, my thing would be like, how do you manage risk in that kind of scenario? Like assuming, you know, especially with something like with spread, what happens if it goes awry?
It's situational. So what a flat top breakout would be basically, you know, a breakout trade of sorts. So in a flat top breakout, what we could do is we could put our risk at the near or just below the nearest lower low, right? So we could have that risk be like, okay, well, we're moving up, we're making higher lows, right? So we're getting that ascending part with the flat top, and clearly buyers are overwhelming sellers because we're making higher lows.
Okay.
So if it doesn't break successfully through that flat top, we can put it, say, through the bottom trough. So let me just get a picture example here. Ascending wedge pattern. There we go. So we could kind of explain what I'm talking about here. Let's see if we can, this one's really good. Bring that bad boy in. One moment, please, as I find what I'm looking for. There it is. Open image in new tab. All right.
Yeah.
So clearly here we have higher low, higher low, higher low, and it doesn't really have a flat top, Adara. It's more of an ascending channel, but just pretend there was a flat top there,
okay? I will.
So say we break through that 788, which would be the flat top, okay?
Yeah.
I could place my stop just right below there.
Okay, so
below
it's just
the
like
lower
the same
low.
as just
Right?
always normal risk
Because
strategy.
to me, If it breaks through that lower low, the trade is no longer valid.
Okay.
Right? Because we were no longer in either an uptrend, we've broken the uptrend because we made the lower low, and number two, it was a failed breakout through the flat top.
Okay.
Right? We didn't get that successful continuation through the flat top. So that's what I would say in that. I would say it's, you know, situational. Not everyone is going to be an ascending wedge, breakout trade. Not every breakout trade is going to be an ascending wedge.
Okay.
Right?
So it's just like based on the situation, just use the normal risk parameters you'd use in that kind of trade.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Everyone will be
That makes
situational.
sense, but yeah.
Well, like, remember when we talked about risk management, we talked about stop placement?
Okay.
And stop placement is so contextual, right? I mean, it's this way in one trade, this way in another. So that's what I would say to that. All right, guys, I just want to remind you guys that we are brought to you by Search Trader, okay? And where traders can get a virtual funded trading account up to $1 million, trade indices including the Dow, S&P, Russell, NASDAQ, oil, gold, Bitcoin, and Forex pairs. Go to searchttrader.com/TTV and use the promo code TTV for 10% off. Shout out to the folks there at Search Trader who, by the way, still have their trading contest for January where you can wear $1,000 and make sure to check out the link in the description for the show. It is available there. Thanks for that. All right, Adara, anything on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a, thank you for going over that. Yeah, I think it's definitely really interesting, and I'm excited to kind of continue looking at it. I do want to talk really quickly about this DAL little scalpy time before I get into this question I like from Kendall Lopez. But yeah, so I'm in this DAL scalp. We know what I'm like. I always take a little piece out here. I'll leave a piece for the dream sometimes, which I did in this case. Shout out to Sharif for that. But I basically have it set where I was.
You guys are showing my screen, by the way.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Thank you. Yeah, so this is this is DAL. We just got our second out here on DAL. But yeah, so I got in because I was watching on my side chart. I like that we had, like I said, higher high, higher low. I took out one piece of profit at this kind of I guess where we sort of had the previous high, which was around that 39.10. I also noticed we had a really hard time getting over 39.10. We actually wicked down below 39. So that was when I was like 39.10 for sure, part of my stop. Took out at the second third here at 39.15. I'm planning the rest out around 39.30. Why? Because that was where we had that nice little bit of support there. Bless you. And so, you know, I think that's kind of an interesting look there in terms of support. But if we make a lower low, it's a no-no for me, and I shall make my exit from DAL. I shall leave the plane midair. But for now we're flying high. We're not. We're enjoying it. Also, yeah. Well, let me find this question again. Kendall Lopez. Would Meta be a good breakout trade to which we can analyze the level 2? I think it may have already broken out. But yeah, I mean, Meta certainly was. Yeah, it certainly was an interesting breakout here on Meta, I will say. We had sort of,
it's a monster.
Kind of an ascending wedge, yeah, because I know, I think it was Hog Rider in the chat saying, would it be an ascending wedge
well, it's
or
kind of like a
bull flag?
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything that, remember, like not everything that we look at is going to manifest into a pattern, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of strength. And clearly moving off the 10 EMA here on my 5-minute look over here on Meta. And you know, I had a dip trade on VWAP that didn't get filled. I'm a little sad about that, especially because it came into my price, but it didn't cross because Meta is less liquid. I would say the spreads on Meta are always a little bit wider than on some of the Mag 7 names, but here we go. The green line is the 10 EMA, and any dips onto the 10 EMA have absolutely been rocketing back up. It's only touched VWAP a handful of times since the open, the last time being a dare at 1020, then since it hasn't come into my VWAP area there. So if you've been sitting at VWAP after around 1030 or so, you haven't been filled, but off the 10 EMA you have been. And you know, it's a super random thing. Like, okay, Meta on Friday is respecting the 10 EMA, but on Wednesday it was off VWAP. Yeah, that's just kind of how it works. So you're gonna have to look at what the instrument is respecting on that day, what, you know, levels it seems to have respect for, and trade off that. Otherwise, you know, it's just like you don't get to choose. It's just something you kind of have to accept.
The markets make the decisions for you.
Clearly
all you can do is respect what they've decided. It's a very serious business.
There we go. Tesla now coming into that 222 area, Adara, as it continues to come off that 220 support. The level that I'm looking at here to de-risk the majority of the position is 222.50. That is VWAP. This is a counter trend trade for me, so therefore, by definition, it is kind of outside my wheelhouse. So I want to take out the majority of the position where I see the major level of support. Now it's coming, 222.5, give or take. Yeah,
that's a really good look. Congratulations on that trade. Yeah, no, I think Meta in terms of like kind of the book here, because I know that was kind of what Kendall Lopez was asking. Unfortunately, it's already kind of broken out, but we can see it's still, we're still running up to the upside here, right? Like little pauses, continued run. Sharif and I were talking about this earlier though too. The one thing with Meta to keep in mind in terms of trying to get fills is the spread on this. It behaves in a very unique way.
It does.
The Meta spread.
And I can tell you, like having been in this stock for like almost 6 months at one point, and watching its behavior every day, it was at the time, I haven't watched it as much lately, but it was always a bit more spready, 7, 8 pennies, even though it was doing a fair share of volume. And so sometimes you can sit there and it crosses on the bid, but on the ask and you don't get filled, and that's what happened to me. So
yeah, no, I had the opposite where I was trying to get out of the Meta trade yesterday, and I had it right. I was trying to leave my Meta. I think it was a long at no, it was a short at 30. It was like something 01. Or I think I was trying to get out at O's. We got to O's on one side. We didn't get to the other side because of the spread. So then I had to change my point of exit because I was like, we're never going to touch that area. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So I think I just think it's cool to talk about this Meta and the spread on that. It's spreada. I'll say that. But yeah, we're up 2% of the day. I can say that the book is moving along quite nicely. Also, we have officially left the flight on Dow, and I'm very happy. I said that in a very Pardon?
Very nice trade.
Thank you. I got out. I actually ended up being right at VWAP, which wasn't intentional. Yeah. I got out because I liked, where we had this kind of double bottom here.
And look at the respect there. So your idea, and look where the closing prints are in there.
Oh my God,
so
you're
it definitely met a wall of sellers right here.
Yeah, right at VWAP.
Into that, yeah. So that people know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wall of sellers on that topping tail candle.
That's a good look.
That's a good look for you to take that mean reversion trade. I like it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll kind of continue to see how this one flies throughout the day. But yeah, I wanted to thank you. But yeah, I like trading this, just kind of piecing out my shares where I saw previous resistance. And yeah, thank you for going over that. I appreciate that. Also, I want to quickly look at UROY, which was, someone mentioned this in the chat. It's a uranium royalty corp. This is a Canadian uranium company.
This is a fantastic name.
Yeah, these uranium companies have been popping off today because, and I want to get the exact story here, but yeah, so basically this, one of the major miners, Kazatomprom, has said that it's likely to experience production shortfall, and that's weighed on its supply outlook. So that's a little bit of weakness there. So all these other uranium names, not UROY, but a lot of the other ones are actually making new all-time highs. So really strong uranium type of week there. Yeah, I just wanted to look at this one and be like, this is a really strong look, continuing to the high side. On the daily too, I noticed when I was at the big desk, I noticed we kind of had come into some interesting levels. So I just want to look at this because I know we do have a super chat, but I just want to look at this quickly.
Take your time.
Yeah, I like that I think if we can break this higher high, I think that could be interesting because we're coming into an area where we've had a lot of earlier kind of resistance, right? So we fell down at that 320, then around this 315. Now we're at 310. I think if we can break through 315 and then 320, we might be able to have some kind of breakout of this downward trend. I also think in terms of support, I just want to talk about this 265 area because I think if we fall back down from here, this 265 is really strong. 1, 2, 3 bounces, fourth bounce actually, I would say. So we do have definitely in the shorter term, so starting in October of this year, we have had a bit of a downward trend, but it's not too rough looking. I do think that it could turn itself around here on UROY. And so I just wanted to look at that one on the day and in the intraday because I saw that mentioned there.
All right, Big Nick Dub, thank you very much for the $2 super chat, Nick W. Hey Sharif, can you look at app? $45 breakout. So app is AppLovin Corp. It's a $14 billion market cap. The float is 184 million shares and change. Here is the daily chart. Looks like it started out its life here at around April of 2021. The high at that 115 area, and then as you can see there, all of 2022 was not a good look, as it wasn't for many other stocks. So we're right back at that area of resistance, support, former area of support now. Looks like that area of resistance. We did make a higher high there, but we haven't been able to continue that trend, so it's been quite consolidative, right? And we still haven't gotten that cross from the 200 on the 50, the golden cross, not quite yet, but the good news is that they are we did get the golden cross. We've got it over here, what am I saying? The 50 cross to 200. So we did get that back in July, and it's been kind of holding up since then. But look, clear support here at 36, going back in to October, but you know, the higher lows are not by much. I mean, when I look at the October low on a closing basis, it's around 36 bucks. Here in mid-December, it's around 30, just a little bit below 37, 36, 36 and a half. Anyway, over here, it makes its way to 37, so not a bad look. You know, I would have told you, look, take the breakout, but you know, we saw what happened over here, right, in November. You had a monster day on November 8th, and then November 9th, it gave back the entire move. And then it continued to make lower lows. So I don't know anything about this company from a technical perspective, but it does seem to be locked in to that $45, $50 area. There's also this, this area over here back in March of 2022 that we bottomed out at. And so this obviously was support because we popped back off it, and then we can't really break through it. So 45, see what you're saying with respect to 45, definitely the look there. Maybe if you're looking at holding this one a little bit longer, it does have the smiley face and then the sideways consolidation, which is obviously reminiscent of the cup and handle pattern, where we have that bull and then a sideways move. I think it's a good look. I think it's a good look for you. You got the golden cross back in July. Yeah. Perhaps, you know, work your way into this trade, right? A little bit now. If it dips back down to 40-ish, high 30s, wet your beak again. It's not a bad look. I do like the pattern. Don't know anything about the company. All right, let's go back in and have a look at what we're doing on TSLA here. We're definitely having trouble breaking through 222 on Tesla. So that's clearly a resistance level that we're encountering now. It's just a little bit south of VWAP. So I didn't anticipate resistance quite yet on Tesla, but it looks like the market rejecting 17,000 again. And that is bringing down some of the Mag 7 names. The rejection off 17,000 is quite clear, especially when you have wicking candles into the level to be met by a wall of sellers, and then you kind of do the dance from the south side of 17,000 rather than the north side. When we clear 17,000 and then wick down to it, only to bounce off it, we're doing the exact opposite here, bouncing to it and then rejecting into the 16,980s. So the market not quite able to reclaim 17,000, and as a result, Tesla's coming down. Tesla's coming down aggressively now into 221, so we're giving back some money here. I'm not going to let any part of this trade go against me. Come back into 220, 19, 20, whatever. I'm flattening out the trade out of the majority of it, but yeah, looks like we are encountering some selling here on some of the Mag 7 names, Adair.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, I like the NQ bouncing off. Was that your pivot point, the green line, or?
Let me bring it back. On Tesla?
No, on the NQ, sorry.
On the NQ, this one, yeah?
Yeah, no, I like how we bounced off that pivot point. I just want to say, I think that's really interesting how we kind of had that nice bounce there. I mean, obviously, not every indicator is going to work every time, but I just think it's a good look, so I wanted to bring that up.
Remember what Mr. Nas says? On the balance of the evidence.
Yeah, so I like that.
You have this, you have that, and then sometimes these two are pointing left, this one's pointing right, and then you kind of make your own decision.
Yeah, you have to kind of like take again, kind of like reminding me a bit of like legal stuff, right?
It
like
is.
Take it within a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to like take everything together and kind of see, sorry, I know I keep making these legal connections, but yeah, there's I think sometimes in terminology there's some overlap.
Yeah.
I also have BLK up here for someone in the chat. Let me find who it is. There was, Dre Day. Love your name, fantastic name. I did bring up BLK. Intraday, I have to say the volume isn't good on this, but we did have earnings. I thought we could look at this one for earnings. About 250,000 volume on the day for this. So they did beat adjusted EPS and sales. I do kind of like, at least intraday, this bottom-ish situation at 786.5. But I think And I think this double top area, this very early pre-market top, and then this other top we got right after open, the 799, almost 800 could be interesting as well. But we do have slightly higher lows since we opened, so I think that's something worth noting here. Let me look at the daily chart. Ooh, okay. Look at, yeah, let's see BlackRock. Yeah, I think, ooh, okay. So I get excited when I see stuff on the chart. So I think the 755 pseudo double top is kind of interesting. I just like looking at levels where stocks stall out. You know what I mean? They don't always come to fruition, but I think it's always worth looking at them and being like, maybe, interesting to look at. 755 we hit once in July 2023, again December 1st, 2023. Now we've had this kind of consolidative top around this 820 area. Hit it once, hit it twice. We did not hit it OB thrice. We dropped down to this 780. Now we're kind of chopping and turning around this area, right? So I think not a bad look for BlackRock in terms of the daily. If it continues to fall from here, I would really watch the 760, 755 area for support, because this double top has been really interesting. Resistance can become support in the future, so I just want to look at that as well. I've also seen a couple things about the SPY on here, and I do want to look here for Kanye East. Another fantastic name in the chat.
Of course.
Hey, keep an eye on SPX 7485, bullish above, bearish below. Yeah, I'll just pull up the SPY here, the SPY, because I don't know. Let me see if I have the SPX on here. Yeah, I'll just do the SPY. I don't know if it's going to be, not Y. Why did I do that? I do not know. SPY, that's what we want. Okay, this is the daily chart in the SPY actually looks pretty good too if we can break this resistance, but let me pull up. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think this, I really like this level actually on the SPY. I was just thinking this morning, weirdly enough, I was like, I don't really trade indices very often. Like I traded the Russell like once, but I have to say I like this area on the SPY, this 476.3, because look, we kind of hit it pre-market, hit it again about an hour before we opened. Then we had this kind of top and turn around this area, swoop down below. Now we're consolidating again around the 765.30, 765.50. Depending on what we do here, I could be intrigued. We're almost flat on the day, so it kind of could go either direction. That does make me a bit nervous. Yeah.
We're getting a big move down, Adara, on Bitcoin. Big move down. We just broke through 44,000, and now we're knocking on the door of 43, 6 2/3. We're making lows as we speak. This is the 5-minute look at Bitcoin. Several touches in the VWAP, all of which were rejected in the pre-market, and then really Bitcoin hasn't looked upside at all since the bell rung at 9:30. And to be honest with you, it was already tilting downwards before the bell rung anyway. So Bitcoin continues to sell. ETH was well higher than where it is right now. It was at that 27.20. Now it's back below 26, coming into 26.50. ETH has been running up. I did a bit of an analysis on the weekly look on ETH. We were up at its highest about 27%. So basically, this is a measuring tool. If you grab from the bottom over here, which is the beginning of the week, and you drag it to the top, about 25.5% move on ETH on the week. So it's been, hey, let me see if the Bitcoin spot ETF is going to get approved, and then if it does, I'm going to buy ETH because ETH is next. Gary Gensler was on Squawk Box this morning. He was asked directly by Andrew Ross Sorkin whether or not the Ethereum spot ETF would be next on the list, and just as an eventuality, he danced around the question. He says, we look at everything on a case-by-case basis, and then he also made reference to the security issue. Many people have said, Ethereum, or not many people, some, people in the SEC have said that Ethereum is a security, should be defined as such, and therefore should have different rules. So we're going to have to see if that factors in, because they haven't made the same argument for Bitcoin. So that's going to be a nice little possible arbitrage trade there. It's already up 25%, but I was doing the daily analysis on ETH. Actually, let's look at the weekly, because we're into a key level here on ETH. Let me refresh. It's going crazy. This is the key level. So we obviously had this area as a level of resistance. So you could say it's around 2650, 2700. And then if you're to look at this whole thing as a possible head and shoulders pattern, I'm talking left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then all the way down, this 3500 area could be an absolutely nice target. And I even sent to the Chilean Nightmare yesterday, I sent him a text. I'm like, man, look, people are starting to buy ETH in anticipation of an ETH spot ETF. So this could be an ARB trade. It's obviously a big boy on the week. We'll have to see whether that, was just like a one-off thing for the week or whether we get the continued push. But technically, if you're going to get into this, obviously you have the 3,000, the $1,000 level with which to contend on your way up. But on the chart, that 3,500 area looking awfully juicy for a possible PT target, like a wet beak wetter on ETH. So I am now out of my Tesla position. We break down below that level, and all of a sudden I'm gonzino. So that's the end of the trade. It was a profitable trade, and we give back about like 50 pennies on the remaining balance there. So not bad of a trade on Tesla. Who's the Chilean Nightmare, says Rusha Shah. There he is. I was about to say, show yourself. There he is. That is Fabian. And Ram has no idea she's even on. There she is.
She's like, get me off camera.
I love it. That's who I'm talking about when I say Chilean Nightmare. I'm talking about Fabian in the back, on the ones and twos, baby.
Great nickname. Yeah, no, Fabian was actually just saying in my ear too, like it looks like some of those Bitcoin funds are going into ETH. Which also, who knows if we'll have an ETH. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, I think it's like possible. Now we have that. Let's look at GBTC because I haven't since yesterday, and that's a moment. It's kind of hard to analyze something when it's just falling off a cliff. You know what I mean?
Jeez. 6 3/4.
Maybe you're short if it gets into an area I can range, but honestly, Bitcoin is so volatile. I think anything associated with Bitcoin would be a little bit scary for me. But yeah, so I think this is this is my kind of the wow look at Bitcoin ETF here. Also, so I was kind of looking at NVIDIA because as much as I'm kind of scared to get involved because NVIDIA has been kind of doing its own thing 21 this entire week. I like this kind of level. I'm just watching what we do off this level. Let me draw it out. So this is, let me, so it's not an exact line, but this kind of 546 area. Look, we kind of had some chop and turn around that bounced off again, like this range sort of a couple times. Now we're moving off this range again, right? Like either way, in either direction, I want to see what we do. I'm considering going long here from around this 546 to this 547.70. That's probably a bit long for my liking for scalping. So I'd probably take a bit of it here just around the 547 even. We had a bit of swooping down there as well, so that could be a decent place to put some entrance, or I guess exit points there too as well. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm not saying yes to NVIDIA for sure. Not saying yes to the dress quite yet, because NVIDIA can make you question your life decisions with a swiftness. But I do not dislike the look that we're seeing here. I think this kind of consistent bouncing off of this 570 to 546 area is not a bad look at all. Also, I like this this Joshua Lee Mallory here saying in the chat, perhaps fear is ego-based, but so is winning. That's a good point. That's an interesting point, right? I like that. Lots of wisdom being put into the chat here, as always. What a fantastic community. Also, I just saw this on the side chart. Google kind of bouncing off VWAP. Again, VWAP's not always going to be an area of play for these stocks every day, right? I guess it was clear on the 3-minute because I have the 3-minute on my side charts. But I mean, Google has been kind of having this beautiful dance with VWAP. It's been like, like a slow dance, a waltz, if you will, with VWAP all day. Like we've been dancing up and around it on this 5-minute chart. I want to see what we do at VWAP because we have been sort of making higher lows, higher highs, right? Like we haven't really made a lower low yet, I would say, decisively on Google. Although I do think this consolidation around 142.70, if you are a bit more of a discerning eye, you could argue this was a bit of a lower low. I would say I'm still interested, but I want to wait and see what we do here. If we get a nice range going again, because we had a bit of rangy movement going on Google earlier, I could be interested in doing the range there. Shout out to Paulie D here. A dance with pants.
I like that. I'm
gonna let clap.
I love how like Sean and Neil started calling me out yesterday about it. Like as I'm on my way out, I'm like, what? Come on, like everybody knows. It's like a innuendo, but anyway.
Yeah, you were getting like roasted. Never mind, Neil put the definition on Urban Dictionary in the chat at one point. Yeah.
No, he didn't. He did that with my Khwadouk as well. You know that? Like, he took liberties. He's like, look, I didn't make up the name, but I'm going to be the one that enters it into Urban Dictionary. Okay. And so I guess with that one as well. Guys, let's restart the lesson. I know it's a little early, but it's a short lesson, so we'll get to it real quick. Spread trading. When we talk about, if you could restart, Fabian, thank you. When we talk about spread trading, the specific trade that I'm talking about is a buyout. Buyouts typically happen when one company offers either firm or, firm or tentative to buy out another company. It's typically at a premium to what the company is trading at, usually, not always. So if the company's trading at $10 and the purchasing company is going to buy it out for $15 a share, what ends up typically happening is that stock will move up in one move, in one candle, from that $10 area where it was trading to around the buyout price, so around $15. It could be a little bit above, it could be a little bit below. And then what it does the rest of the day is it moves sideways. It is completely horizontal. How much it moves up and down will be relative to its price. If it's, say, a $10 stock, it could move 1 or 2 pennies, maybe more, 10, 15. What you're trying to do in this situation is you're trying to buy on the bid a lot of shares and then sell on the ask, so say for 1 penny or 2 pennies. And the point of this is to basically take a lot of shares. This requires a lot of buying power, obviously, and it also requires, for you to have rebate trading, which I'll explain why in a sec. So there's 2 ways to make money off this particular trade, okay? You obviously can make money off that 1 or 2 penny difference. So say you buy at $25.05, you sell at $25.07. So you made 2 pennies. Let's say you took 50,000 shares, whatever that math is, okay? You also make money for rebate trading. If you use a particular gateway, when we talked about market makers and gateways yesterday, that's what we were referring to. If you use a particular gateway, they actually sometimes pay you for adding liquidity into the market because you stimulate trading. So you basically give them the shares that they possibly need to meet the other side of that trade. So you get a rebate from them. So there are 2 sources to profiting from this particular type of trade. Now, what you're looking for on the level 2, when you're in this type of trade, is how much size is above you that's going to prevent the stock from moving up that 1 or 2 pennies. So you need to do a calculated analysis. And it's not just about what it's showing on the book. You need to make an analysis of whether there's any actually hidden sellers at that particular level. So sometimes you'll see a level just keep getting touched, and there's really no size in the book to explain why we're not moving. Well, that's basically because somebody's hiding their order. It's an iceberg order, okay? Hidden order, iceberg, they're all synonyms, okay? And you also need to be looking at the support you have behind you. How many buyers are there to backstop you or at your particular level to prevent the stock from moving down? Because you're long here. You're trying to profit off 1 penny, right? You're not trying to profit, you're not trying to buy the dip, so to speak. This is a spread trade, okay? So you need to do a calculated analysis of what's behind you as well as what's in front of you. And basically that's really all there is to this type of trade. It is one that I think is probably a bit more suitable to prop firms like we have here. Number 1, because you need a lot of buying power to take all those shares. Like, so say it's, you take 50,000 shares or whatever on a $15 name, you do the math, you need a lot of BP. And then also the way that your brokerage is organized with the different gateways. Some brokerages will pay you a rebate, some won't. Ours, we already know which gateways will give us and won't give us. And that's what's taught in the campus program and on in the trading floor here, the training for the traders. Okay.
Trader training.
Yeah, trader training. There you go. So that's spread trading. Okay, and it may interest you, it may not. It's a very low volatility type of trade. Typically, traders will be at their desk or they'll be in the trade for several hours because sometimes it takes hours or half an hour, whatever, for it to move up that 1 penny or those 2 pennies. And so it's a tedious trade, put it that way, but it can be quite profitable. So if you're interested, do more research about that. We're here to give you ideas. Second is breakout trading, one that I like a lot better. okay? And this one is more conducive to, you know, everyday trading. So we don't have to wait for a buyout trade, okay? For breakout trade. Every day we come into resistance or support, right? If we're taking the short, and on whatever names, okay? The example I gave the first time around when we were talking about this initially was NVIDIA at 500. How many times did NVIDIA come into that $500 area only to basically, you know, absolutely reject that area completely, right? It's a lot easier to say, oh, you know, I'll just look at the book and I'll figure out where the sellers are and where the buyers are, and no, right? So there are some techniques here that we have to talk about with respect to the breakout trade. I'll just send it to you for a second because I got to pull up a chart here. So for an example for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think we're learning a lot. I'm excited to ask some questions after this session. I will address too, I'm in a little baby Google long, and I have it pretty planned out. It's kind of similar in terms of a thesis to my thesis with Delta Airlines. So get in on a dip when I'm seeing some movement, and then around key levels, and then plan my outs accordingly. So I'm getting part of the position out this, what is this, 142.85. I've already set my beak wetter there. Shout out to Sharif, beak. Hashtag team beak wetting. But yes, I'm gonna get some of that out there because that was where we had that. A, we had a little bit of a swoop down from there after a mini double top, and B, that was where he had this chop and turn before we fell with the swiftness earlier. So that's why I'm planning my out there. My second out would be probably slightly above this 143 because that's where we had our higher high, and we know I like to get out slightly before those new higher highs or lower lows if I'm in a short, because I'm not sure that we can eclipse that yet. You know what I mean? I like to see some confirmation or confluence or confluation, because I accidentally said it earlier, so I'm like, we may as well make it a word.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
we're good to go. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So here's what we're talking about. Remember when we were talking about the ascending wedge, Adara? So this is exactly what we're talking about over here. This is the look that I want. So you have initial touch. Let's say this 105 is 500 on NVIDIA, okay? So let's just pretend this is an intraday trade. Obviously, this is over a period of months, but I just need to show this particular pattern. We have higher lows, higher lows. So right away, we know that in the short term, in the intermediate term or whatever time scale we're trading on, we know that buyers are overwhelming sellers, but at a particular point, this 105 or 500 on NVIDIA, sellers overwhelm buyers. So we know that if we were to get a trade through 500 or 105 on here, this is going to be a breakout trade. And you asked me a very good question early on, but like, all right, Sharif, Neil warned about the possibility of getting rinsed on a breakout trade, that if it doesn't go in your favor, you got to be ready to get out. How do I know where to get out? And I said to you, well, look, not all breakout trades are going to be created equal, but the ones that are presenting you with higher lows in anticipation of the flat top breakout gives you an opportunity to place your stop. And placing my stop would be right below this particular area over here, 85. So I would say to myself, look, it's been making higher lows with a flat top. If it makes a lower low, the trade is invalid. And therefore, I'd get the hell out of Dodge. So that's from a chart pattern perspective. Now, with respect to looking at the tape, what you're looking for, number one, how much size is at that $500 level, right? I mean, how much size do I anticipate there to be? There could be hidden sellers as well. Above 500, where is there another wall that I need to contend with? Is there a 550 wall or 525? Because, you know, whoever is holding it down doesn't have to hold it down right at 500. They could be in the 500 vicinity. So that's the first analysis you need to make. A lot easier said than done, especially because as you approach that $500 level, the tape starts going crazy because a lot more involvement starts, a lot more eyes start coming at that level. You're not the only person that knows about 500 on NVIDIA. A lot of people know about it. So there's a lot of crazy buying and selling at that level. And what ends up happening is that the level 2 starts moving too quickly for you to be able to really digest what's above 500, what's at 500. So it's like a practice makes perfect type thing. That's the first consideration. The second consideration is you have to look at what's behind you. If we come into 500 and that wall of sellers comes in again, is there anybody big with a big buy order that could kind of help backstop the descent, the carnage that would follow from a 500 rejection on NVIDIA? So that's what you need to do. You need to also look, is that size moving up with you? So say there was like 500 lots, right? A 50,000 share order at, let's say, $499.50 on NVIDIA, and it was there for a while, right? And then as we creep up into 500, all of a sudden that same sized order moved up from 49.50 to 49.75. So you know that that buyer is following you up, right? So you need to be cognizant of that. And the only way to be cognizant of it is to be able to recognize that that's the same size. That was at 49.50, now it's at 499.75. So it's a lot easier said than done, again, because the tape is moving so quickly, rapidly at that particular level. You really need to practice, but that's what to look for there, okay? I'm sure Neil's gonna have a lot more color when he comes on at 12 about exactly what he meant, but that's kind of the gist of it, so to speak.
Yeah, no, thank you for going over that. And yeah, I like how you put it like with the carnage, because if these trades fail, it can get kind of chaotic. And I think one thing too, I don't trade breakouts a lot. Like I am type of more kind of a range scalper, right? But I will say when I have that experience, I remember one time, I think it was probably a couple weeks ago now, I traded Amazon breaking out of this ascending wedge. And the thing is, it requires patience. Like you have to really kind of time your entry and then just kind of wait, you know what I mean? Like plan your outs like we were talking about earlier, right? Because I asked this question. So like have a plan to stop or to leave if it breaks below your level of interest, right?
Short.
Pardon?
Tesla is absolutely tanking Adara. Yes. And that Tesla short was awfully juicy through the break of 220. Tasty. Look at that short go on TSLA. Wow, 218 incoming Adara, and 218 may not hold for long. I don't see a whole lot. There is some decent size here at 218. We'll have to wait and see whether it's able to kind of slow down the carnage on the way down. But that I feel really, I feel really silly because, I took the trade initially on 220, and 220 said to myself, it's a fantastic level. So if it's not a fantastic level anymore, how come you're not taking a short? So I want to fault myself a little bit for not taking that short down on TSLA. It is coming into support level 2 Adara on TSLA. So it's already doing the dance here with no pins at support level 1. And now we see that 217.50 level coming in on TSLA. It's already made a new low of day now, 217.93 on TSLA. And I did get a 7 a.m. message from Alfred, who is praying to whatever gods are listening that Tesla breaks 200 because he wants to re-up. So he's very excited about bearishness on Tesla. In case you're wondering what the hell's going on with Tesla, they have suspended production at their Berlin Gigafactory for, I think, 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks?
It's like January 29th to I think mid-February, so probably around 2-3 weeks.
Couple of weeks, okay, 2-3 weeks, because of the supply chain issues with containers having to go around the Horn of Africa rather than going through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So that's going to take longer for their stuff to get there, and as a result, they don't have the supplies needed. So that's never a good look. But if you believe in the long-term viability of the company, you use this obviously as a buying opportunity. So we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out. 218, let's see if that can break.
Yeah, no, I think, certainly Tesla interesting. Robbie V was asking earlier, are you going to trade Tesla today? And I said, I don't want to try to take a trade that I'm not comfortable trading. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a really good move to the downside. But I said, I said it to Rob in the chat. I'll say it here as well. If we get into kind of a range I can scalp, I will do that. But I don't want to kind of like we were saying yesterday too, I feel like I have the most success when I just try to trade in a manner that I'm comfortable with. So I'm more comfortable with my range scalps. I'm going to stick to my range scalps.
I respect that.
Thank you. But yeah, I do agree with you, Rob. I think it's definitely in play, and I will be enjoying it if it comes into an area I can get interested in.
We didn't do any Did we do any resolution?
I don't think we did.
Did we? Okay, so I have a couple of resolutions.
Okay.
So the first one, I don't want to necessarily use more indicators Adara, but I want to learn more indicators and become proficient at how they work. I don't necessarily want to use them every day, and I may not use them for the same thing. Swing trades, maybe indicators for some for day trading. I just incorporated pivots, right?
You love the pivots.
I love the pivots, so I want to definitely incorporate more of that. Do you have a New Year's resolution with respect to trading? Obviously, I'm not talking about life stuff.
I figured, yeah, I think definitely I want to kind of continue to refine my trading style, right?
Okay.
And kind of, get more comfortable forming a plan and not second guessing myself as much. I think that would be part of it. This Google trade is kind of an example, but before I get right to that, I will say another kind of resolution of mine for for trading.
You should have seen what Neil wrote. That's why I'm laughing.
Oh, that I figured. Yeah, so Neil's saying his New Year's resolution, which I guess could be trading related, is to hate on the Dallas Cowboys more. I guess it is definitely office related, right? So, but yeah, I enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Neil, and Sharif for keeping this beef alive.
So to refine your trading strategy.
Oh yeah, so I think that too, and just kind of continue. Like I like scalpulating, just kind of keep at that.
Keep
right?
at your method and just perfect your current method.
I think
like
so.
that. Okay,
Thank
cool.
you. The other thing too I want to say is, you know, be a little less hard on myself, maybe. You know what I mean? Like just recognize that you can take L's, but then hopefully you'll make more M's as well.
There you go.
And also, I think trying to trade some stuff that is not, you know, in the top 20 market cap, right? Like I think I trade a lot of Lilly, Netflix, Mag 7. It's like, you know, maybe diversify a little bit, right? We just had that DAL trade and that one, okay, right? So just kind of see where opportunities are, take advantage of those opportunities, and you know, yeah, I think that'll be my new strategy.
And Fabian was asking me, I don't know if you heard.
I did not hear.
Okay, yeah, it's like, have you traded any penny stocks? I know you kind of started, and then you did, what was it, ADTX or something like that?
Yeah, I started, it was some AXLA.
AXLA, and then you kind of got like, stressed out.
I got bamboozled in the AXLA, to use a Sharifism. Yeah, that was my first day trading. Again, still in the sim. That was one of my first stocks I had ever traded, and it did get halted to the downside while I was in it, immediately after I entered.
There you go.
I was able to kind of be patient and get out of it in a less dicey way than it could have gone, but I think it was still, you know, could have been better. Right, so I think I've done a couple of small caps since, and I think your small cap tips were really helpful with regards to the you know, making sure like you wait and see it get above VWAP and then above pre-market. Yeah, right. But I feel like those are helpful.
Yeah.
So I feel like using those. I've done a couple. I did IREN a couple weeks ago. That was successful. I've done a couple small caps.
Nice.
But yeah, just trying to diversify a little bit and,
cool.
and see what happens. Thank you.
And Neil obviously participating with the trolls in the chat, hating on the Cowboys, which is obvious. That's normal. And he's like egging it on too. I love it. All right. We're not facing you this weekend, so you're. It's just me and the Katina man. They're going to be facing off there.
Did you see what Neil said? I love everybody in our community, even when they are just wrong.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
I thought it was about Sharif.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. Kyle, yes, I see NQ approaching 16.9, but I'm keeping my eye on that pivot point, Kyle, because what's happening here is we're getting support at that green pivot point. Fabian, if you're able to, we're getting support over and over again, but what we're getting here is lower highs, right, with that flat bottom. So we got to be really careful here. If we break through this pivot, we could easily get to 16.9 and then some. The overnight low is 16.866. So we got that to look at, but pivot held earlier, acted as resistance, and then now as support again. So the pivot coming into play again on the NQ, but we'll see whether or not we continue this move down. It does look dicey at this point. We still haven't broken through this trough over here. But Neil is ready. He is going to chime in on the stuff we've been talking about today. He's got him ready at the desk. Oh, wrong one.
Time to give you the real deal, per se, when it comes to breakout. Quite possibly the most obvious and the most used and the most loved strategy for short-term traders and long-term traders alike. You know it's that breakout. You're probably looking at them every day, just like I am here at Trader TV Live. You guys know in the community, we see a good breakout a day, at least one that we think is going to be a good breakout. But I want to talk about something that you want to look to avoid. How do you not get rinsed on a breakout? And when can you take advantage of a false break? What are you looking for to not get rinsed? What are you looking for to take advantage of when everybody else is getting stopped out on a false breakout? And the best part about it is you saw today with Zim exactly what it looks like for a false break. And the best examples are the ones that you can relate to personally. So I'll tell you right now, I took an L on this loss, managed to limit it, but I still took an L on a breakout in Zim. And walking through this is going to be exactly how instead you could be maybe looking for a short here. So you set up what is a breakout, when is it good, when is it bad, all that good stuff. Usually you identify it with a significant level. Maybe it's an even $15. In this particular case, you can see on the daily, it's got a big short float, this name. It's been stair-stepping up. There's one peak at 15.25. It comes into today looking for a second shot at that peak. Obviously, you know in hindsight that it's going to end up failing that break. So there's your top. There's your double top. Who would not be looking at a breakout for this level? Now, the support from this peak to trough was 1525 to 1260. So if you're thinking in those terms, oh my goodness, this squeeze stock could go a couple of dollars higher off of that level, just based on the range it's been doing. Even if you think conservatively, you're thinking it could go $1.50. So risking from 15.25 back into 15 seems like an absolute no-brainer. I took it, and it completely reversed and didn't work. I even took a consolidation long that was no good. Tight stop, but a loss nonetheless. You're going to ask yourself, first, why would you not be looking to take this long? What about this? Good short float, catalyst, clear double top. Why would you not have wanted to take a long at 15.25? Well, a couple of reasons. One, in my morning note, I said not to, and then I didn't follow it myself. But why? Why wasn't I that interested? Well, it's kind of obvious. And it comes with a rule of mine that I've had for a long time. Now, I'm going to pull up a daily chart, which the other daily chart I purposefully did not zoom out. See this peak here on the daily when you go all the way back into August of last year? Oh, wait a minute. This high is above that 15.25. This is a 15.5 on Zim. Last I checked, 15.5 was over 15.25. And that means you are punching long into overhead resistance. Now, when I was a young trader, which was a few years ago, okay, it wasn't a few years ago. This was literally 20 years ago when I was told this by another trader. Do not punch long in a breakout into immediate overhead resistance. The big level, if it's clearing 15.25 and there's overhead resistance at 15.50 and you think it's a $1.50 move, then what's wrong with allowing it to break 15.50 to be sure? And then suddenly this previous double top can become your out. If you're thinking that way, which I should have been if I had zoomed out a little bit more, in the heat of the moment, it happens. You make that trade, you live with it, you take the loss. But if I'm not doing that and I zoom out like I should be, then I'm realizing there's an opportunity here. And that opportunity is everyone else looking at 15.25 or maybe long at 15 even is going to be trapped in that long if it doesn't break 15.5. And that gives you a shot for the reversal short. And if that happens, like it did today, it is clean, and then suddenly that move to the upside is the move into the downside. So you got to think about how you're executing a trade like this. It is not easy. Sharif went over some of this in our midday, talking about how you look at the level 2 for the reversal trade. But it all starts with the notion of there's overhead resistance at 15.50. Sure, it could work. 25 could blow through 50, and you don't even care about anything. But if you're patient enough to wait for the 15.50 level on Zim, then when it gets into this 25, instead of doing what I did, which is punch long, easy stop out, fair enough, could have been a heck of a lot worse. You're not doing anything except staring at the level 2, looking for rejection and sellers at the 15.50. And very specifically, what am I looking for? I'm on the level 2, looking at the bid ask. As 15.25 goes, you're going to see the spread open up. Now you're going to see stop orders firing. People that went long 25, they're hitting 26, 27, 28. Maybe they're hitting all the way up to 30. That offer is getting taken out because it's a massive double top. Are the bids starting to follow? This is a 2-cent spread. It regularly trades 1, 2, 3 cent spread. As it breaks above the 25 and you're starting to see the offers go, are the bids following? Are there buyers at 26, 27, 28? When the offer gets to 35, the top was 37. Are there actually bids at 36 and 35 when it gets to 37? When the answer ends up being no, because that was the case, that just means you're firing stops above, people hitting the offer, but nobody wants to bid above the breakout price. You're not getting that buy fill in. That is a telltale sign of a potential reversal. Now, if you're in the long already, you're in the long. But if you were patiently waiting and looking for that short opportunity, when you see that and it doesn't get to 50, when it comes back down underneath that 25, you're looking short. You should be fast enough because you were waiting for it to be able to grab it 20s to 25. You already know your out's at 15.50. You're short, your out is at 15.50. You can't lose on that trade. Now, sometimes breakouts work fantastic. I get it. The idea here would be because of the overhead resistance, I shouldn't have been looking for 25. I should have been patient enough and willing to buy high and sell higher. Be willing to miss the trade to make the trade. Be willing to short that level instead. Now, obviously, there are other chances that you can take where a breakout is absolutely clean. Anybody watching NVIDIA the last little bit knows that NVIDIA 500 was an example. Uber, just let me go over to Uber for a quick second. Uber broke out on a 52-week high here, and it broke out pretty clean. Dip buy was only okay, but it broke out pretty clean to the upside. When it works, it just works right away. I always try to make sure that for every one breakout trade that doesn't work, or that does work, I can lose on 3 that don't. But even better if you can win on a false break because you sniffed it out. And that's exactly what Zim was about here today. It was right there for me. No questions asked. Zoom out that daily chart a little bit more, and it was obvious. There was the overhead resistance. No question about it. If you zoom out that chart, fair enough. It needed to be breaking out this top, not that one. We always ask ourselves, how can we make more money? Well, no better way than avoiding a trap that's going to cost you money and turning it into a winning trade. That is one of the best things you can do in the market. Do not punch into overhead resistance. We all love breakouts, but not all breakouts are created the same. So I hope you guys learned from this one. I literally had this trade today and took the L on what could have been a nice little winner. That's why I'm happy to give it to you guys. That's the real deal. Let's get back to the desk.
Real deal, Holyfield.
Transition.
Yeah, it was. That was like one of the best boxers ever, by the way.
I've heard of Evander Holyfield.
Yeah,
I don't know
ridiculous.
boxing, but
Like early 90s. He was legit, and he started off his life as a boxer in cruiserweight, which is just below heavyweight.
Really?
Which is 190, and then he moved into that 200 category, which is
that's intense.
and it, like a thing all on its own. But yeah, I thought he was amazing. Wars with Riddick Bowe. Oh, there. I was like bringing him on. Attaboy, Fabian. He had wars with Riddick Bowe. He had great wars with Mike Tyson as well. Some of the best times for the heavyweight division, at least in my opinion. In recent memory, obviously, there was better times. All right, Adara, what's the look on your end there?
Yeah, I was in this Google trade. I want to be cautious for entering this. I don't think the Google long was wrong per se. I think I timed it poorly. So I'll explain why I say that. So I'm zooming in a little bit here to just kind of show my entry. I got in here because we had this nice little consolidation. Look at all this failed selling here. I was like, I like this look. Then I got out because I was kind of planning on getting out. I didn't want to erase all the gains I had from, all the gains. I'm making it sound so dramatic. The mildly successful Delta trade, I'll put it that way. I'm not trying to, toot my, I'm just saying like I wanted to do okay there. So that was kind of why I didn't want to give up some of that profit there. So I just kind of decided to get out there. And then, now we're kind of, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're still kind of long on Google. We did bounce off VWAP. Maybe I should have waited, but I think the bigger issue was just I should have gotten in at a better place.
I hear you.
I might get back in here. So now we're kind of back my initial point of entry. We'll have to wait and see what we do here. Yeah.
Eric says, the Mara Circus is live.
Ha!
Yeah, I bet. Let's bring in the side chart and have a look at what this bad boy is doing. We haven't looked at it today. At least I haven't. MARA, it's going to take a minute to load up on my chart for whatever reason. It's always buggy. I'll give that a second. But I am long Meta 374.33. I am looking for the bounce off VWAP here, guys. Meta has been the Mag 7 outperformer with its friend Microsoft. We are getting a bounce on the NQ off the pivot point. So I'm looking to go long here, see if I can wet my beak for a buck or something. All right, so here is the look on Mara. Yes, we just we are at day lows. 1933s we're at. 1922 is the low. We're coming into support level 1 on the pivot right at 19. I love that, the whole dollar and the pivot. So I'm not saying I'm gonna be waiting at 19s for a long, but if you're short, maybe that's a profit taker for you. 19 and support level 1 on MARA. All right, it's time to wet our beak on some profits here on this Meta long. So we'll wet our beak there, and we're looking for a move into 375 here on META, up 1 1/3, getting a nice green candle off VWAP, but I hope it's not a dead cat bounce off this level. We had a bit of a double bottom, albeit on the 1-minute chart, so don't want to start celebrating too early, and especially with the lower highs. The lower highs that we're putting in on the NQ make me awfully worried. despite the fact that we've been holding off this pivot over here, right? It's a great look, but for how long? And there you go. Just as I wet my beak on Meta, it comes right back down there. My out on Meta is going to be the break of the $0.50. So 373.50, the break of the $0.50. That's it. We're going to get out of this trade. But so far, you know, not
like
breaking
that.
down. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's a bit of a counter market trade because, well, the future's putting lower highs. It's negative on the day. The future, I'm talking about the NQ. It's below that 16,966 level, which would be break even on the day. It is getting a bounce off the pivot, but we'll see how long this Meta trade lasts for. I already wet my beak on some nice profits here for about a 50 penny winner, but let's see if we can get a move back up. You had some questions, I think, with respect to the lesson. Did you want to go through those, or
yeah,
do those
I did.
second time around?
I can go over them now, actually.
Sure.
So I know one of them was so with regards to, I know sometimes when there are buyouts, the company that's getting bought out will spike up. The company that's getting that's doing the buyout will spike down. Do you think there's a way to take advantage of the buyout news as a short to the other companies?
I see what you're saying. So that's not the buyout trade that I'm talking about, but I see exactly what you're talking about.
Sure.
Like, for example, when CVX went and bought, I think it was Pioneer. Who was it?
Yeah.
Pioneer, yeah. So CVX went down and Pioneer went up. That isn't the buyout trade I'm talking about. The specific buyout trade I'm talking about is when something's bought at a premium, right? It's not typically a big company like that.
Oh, I see, okay.
Right? And what it ends up doing is it just comes and trades near the buyout price per share. So it'll tell you that the purchasing company will be like, okay, we're going to take Adara Incorporated, we're going to buy it out, and we're going to buy it at $20 a share, but you're trading on the market right now at 15.
Oh, I see.
So what ends up happening is that your price in one minute candle shoots up from 15 to around 20. It can be a little bit above 20 or a little bit below, but it'll be near that area, right? And so then you can analyze whether the stock is bullish or bearish on that news, because if it's really bullish, it'll be trading above the premium.
I see.
Okay, it'll be trading at a premium above the buyout price.
Above 20. Okay.
Exactly, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the spread buyout trades. But I see what you're talking about there. It's not the one that I'm referring to.
Okay, I have another question then.
Sure.
So I guess it's more kind of like a comment or a reflection point. So with regards to like these spread buyout trades and watching kind of tiny price movements on the tape and on the level 2, how experienced of a trader do you have to be be able to kind of profit off these?
Practice. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to judge yourself.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So, I mean, nobody's going to be there to test you and say, okay, you're ready to go, Adara. You're going to have to be like, you know, make an informed, like, what's it called? No, like a hypothesis about what you're seeing on the screen, right? Take a trade based on that hypothesis, do it a number of times so that you have a large enough sample size to say, okay, this is a winning strategy, or no, this is a strategy that sucks, I need to change it. So it's, and I know I've been saying this for like a long time now, but it's screen time, right? So
thank you, I appreciate
especially
that.
with level 2 reading, it's tough.
Yeah,
That's just the way it is, right?
It's a whole difficult time. Also, thank you to 253332 in the chat saying XOM ZOM bought Pioneer, not Chevron. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
we
you.
just forgot, you know, about they both obviously had purchases, and we'll see whether or not those purchases go through. Shout out to Lena Khan.
Yeah.
See how she's doing over there at the FTC. I even asked O'Leary about her, and O'Leary was like, yo, I send my henchmen to Washington, and I get them to talk to the regulator, and I have dialogues with the regulator to see what the regulator's looking for. I'm not looking to fight the regulator. I probably can't. But he also said that Gensler wouldn't approve the ETF, so you know he was wrong there.
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Yeah, you do it way better than me.
Yeah. Well, because I've seen the commercial a million times, right?
Yeah. Also, quickly, a couple people asking about Hog Rider saying Lilly is up and breaking new highs. Heather Tran saying, would you look at Lilly? I will. I often look at Lilly, but yeah, I will look at it now. It's not at a milli, so it's something I would get involved in that today. But I will say I do like the look of this.
52-week high at 9:30 this morning, by the way.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I want to draw this out just to kind of show what I like about this. It was I like it. But yeah, it's kind of an ascending, we had a bit of an ascending wedge here earlier, right? So right at open, we kind of have this moment swoop back down, and then we make a higher low here at 11:10. Sort of a higher, I mean, like these are about the same. It's not a perfect descending wedge here at 1145. Then when we break this high, we break it with a vengeance. This was kind of a breakout trade of sorts. I'm sure it wasn't like crazy breakout because Lily has a monstrous spread and moves kind of at its own, sometimes glacial pace. But I think definitely a nice breakout trade here on Lily. If we get to a milli, I was even saying this to Hog Rider in the chat, I would probably try to range this, you know, getting in a dip, get out type of thing. I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm also keeping an eye on Tesla, Stressla, Besla, whatever you want to call it. It has been one to watch today, down almost 4% now. Could this be a recovery? I want to see what we do with this consolidation area of around 220, because 220 was that you got around in and around 220 earlier for that long. 220 has been a really interesting area for Tesla.
Rejects. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I want to see. I'm not touching this till we get to 220. I will be very interested to see what 220. What 220 will be doing here. Also, Paulie D saying Lily CEO seems good for CEOs. LOL. Yeah, that's what Paulie D saying. Yeah, I mean, I think like seems like he's like a fine CEO.
Okay, cool. I have no idea.
It's David Ricks. I did a little bit of research. Yeah, well, you know, if you're gonna day trade a stock to infinity and beyond, you might as well know a little bit about it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna make sure I'm right about what I said here. His name is David A. Ricks. Okay, I was correct. But
shout out to David.
Yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, no, I got a kick out of Paulie D saying that here.
I have to do another shout out here. So JC Paredes, who's an awesome chartered market technician, a friend of Michael Noss's, been on the compound. He's been on Sean's show, on Market Recap. He's someone that I think is pretty cool and pretty insightful, especially with respect to technical analysis. The charts that he has, if you've ever seen him on the compound, he comes ready. He's going to be on with Brendo today at 2:45. Founder of All-Star Charts, JC Paredes. If you're into technical analysis, you will want to stick around with Brendo at 2:45 as he has JC on. It's something I'm going to be watching, and I want to beeline it out of here because, you know, well, things aren't well with me, but I'm going to be sticking around for that interview, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that'll be really cool.
So JC Paredes, make sure, Brendo, 2:45 today, Adair. All right, we did talk about this meta trade. Yeah, we did talk about this meta trade already. Meta, you know, it looks like it's slowing down now in its strength. It's not breaking down or anything, but I'd like to see some more oomph off the bounce on VWAP. It is obviously holding VWAP, but it's not doing that nice V-shaped recovery that I kind of anticipated that it would have done given its strength on the day. We'll see. We're getting into the 60s. I got a beak wetter sitting at the 374.69 area. The market bouncing off pivot point again on the NQ, but really not making any newer highs. And it's also red on the day. It's below VWAP. So the setup for the long still a little bit dicey, to say the least at the moment. Looks like Apple is curling up here after being the dead one the majority of the morning. AAPL now coming into that 186 area. It's still putting in lower highs. We haven't mentioned Apple on the show today, but it is putting in lower highs over here. There's no difference. There's no change, in trend quite yet until we break through that 186 area. So that'll require us clearing VWAP and then making a newer high through that 186.10 area. That's when Apple will get interesting, possibly here on the day. It's bouncing up right now. Is Meta bouncing? Damn it, Meta. Just give me that fill, bruh. Anyway, we're waiting here at 69s because what's left without Whimsy to see if we can get that fill on META, but not getting it quite yet. Meta's up 1 1/4, the strongest of the Mag 7 names today, hence why I want to get involved in this bad boy. EVs. I didn't talk much about EVs today, and we don't typically talk, you and I, here about EVs. I know the big kahunas trade them in the morning, especially Neil. He trades his Rivians and Lucids. It's Redsville for EVs, Chinese or otherwise. Rivian down 5, Lucid 6 3/4, Polestar 5.5, Nikola 3 1/3. You got Li Auto, 3.5, XBEF 3, NIO 1, all in the red today, or sorry, 2% for NIO in the red. So EVs taking it on the chin, possibly maybe off that CPI print yesterday, guys. You know, maybe that kind of kicks the can down the road a little bit with respect to interest rates, and then, you know, rates remain elevated, financing costs remain high, or leasing costs remain high, and not as many people are buying cars. I did look at where inflation was and wasn't present yesterday. And it looks like used cars were down like almost 3% year over year on the month, but new cars were still going higher in price, about 1.5%. So there's a bit of a disconnect there because there was a time when used cars were really outpacing new cars in terms of inflation. So we'll have to see if that one continues to be the same or whether we get a change in trend there. So Kanye East, Tesla, long off weekly 200 SMA at 217.52. Shout out to you. That's a great bottom there. It also happens to be my support level 2 on pivots on TSLA. So good, nice look for you. Maybe wet your beak at 220 because there is definitely resistance there, former support on Tesla. That's where we got that trade-off. Softy bouncing here. So it's not just Apple bouncing. Softy getting a nice bounce off VWAP, holding that 386 area, and then that 386 and a third at VWAP now into the 387, possibly and a quarter. Nice curl here on VWAP, but not as aggressive. And I'm not really surprised. It's midday right now. It's 12:30. It's Friday, right? Maybe we get some more volume in the latter part of the afternoon. But right now, waiting for anything kind of here to bounce. What are you guys looking at in the chat? Throw it in. Let me or Adara analyze it for you, and we'll talk. Maybe you guys have good trade ideas.
Yeah, I will say too in the chat, Jay Perez saying, bro, I wish I got $1 every time you say beak wetter. I love that term. Yeah, it's a fun one. I've been I really enjoyed it as well, or I continue to enjoy it. Also, I did get long on Microsoft, and I'm micro regretting this a little bit. And I say that because I liked this level. We did, as you said, we did get that pop into 387 almost and a quarter. And then we kind of pushed back down though, because I had part of my position set to leave at the 387.15. I noticed we could kind of claim that decently, but then unfortunately we did fall to the downside. I really dislike this kind of wick where we see sellers overpowering buyers. If we see a lower low, I'm gonna have to say sayonara to Microsoft. We haven't yet though, but I have to say I'm kind of regretting this. I got it initially because I did like that we had this resistance. I thought resistance could become support. In the end, it looks like resistance has stayed resistance, and I maybe should have waited a little bit before getting involved here. Parabolic FOMO drip, great name, saying time for a beak wedding party. Woo woo, yeah, I mean, I think always time for a beak wedding party over here on the midday, I would say. There was something, oh yeah, I also, you saying Meta, give me the Filbra or whatever, that was something that,
yeah, and I didn't get it. I'm gonna get stopped out here. So
yeah, I'm gonna leave
close to getting stopped out here at Meta, on Meta at 373.5. That's gonna be my line in the sand. We got one out, but weren't able to get the other out at 69. So if it comes in to the break of the $0.50, it looks like the market is kind of back into that low area consolidation. It's putting in lower highs. It looks like we're primed here to flush on the market. I mean, just based on the chart pattern with all these lower highs and this flat bottom that we've been putting in for quite some time here. This is the high, obviously 17.042. Then we make another crest over here right at 17, and then the most recent crest right at 16.960. So lower high, lower high, lower high with this flat bottom in the high. Sorry, the 16.9 16.918, 16.915, in and around that area. So I'm not really able to kind of get that bounce, and as a result, Meta also now flirting with my stop on the day. So we'll have to wait and see whether we get a bounce up. But it looks like there may be some rotation now in what is strong, as maybe Apple and Microsoft will kind of take over as the leaders here, even though Meta's still up the most on the day in terms of Mag 7 names. So awfully close to my stop, though, about 30 pennies away from getting stopped out on that. I'm looking to see what else is popping off on the day. I see yields are down, the 2 years down below 4.1 again. You got the 10-year also south of 4%. I'm trying to see what's moving in at the moment. If you guys have any ideas, throw it in there. I see Mara also down about 15%, knocking the door of 19. So that's been stair-stepping down. MARA knocking on the door of we said that $19 level, which also happens to be the pivot, the support pivot, as well as the whole dollar level. So could present a good possible beak wetter there. I personally wouldn't take the bounce, the long off that level. I'm just looking at my watch list here, trying to look for ideas. for anything that's kind of standing out, and then to report that back to you. I think we'll start the lesson maybe in about 5 minutes or so. We've been talking about level 2 and breakout trading strategies, as well as spread trading strategies with using level 2 for that. So that's kind of been the topic today. Here we go. I think Meta's going to stop me out here, Dara, so I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've stayed in this Microsoft because I wanted to wait, because my issue with Google is that long had, I mean, it didn't have tons of power, but it had enough power to get to my little scalpy area I wanted to get out at, but I got out a little too early. So I'm just waiting. Like, we haven't actually made any low on Microsoft yet from my point of entry, so I'm going to wait to kind of see that decisive low. We are flirting with VWAP. You know, much like Meta was kind of flirting with Sharif Stop, we have Microsoft flirting with VWAP here. I never take too many shares, so it's not like a giant position here I'm worried about, but I still, you know, I'm trying to work on more consistency, you know what I mean, as I try to, you know, as I continue to be in the sim here. But yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to learn here. I do like that we're getting this little push off that 386.40. We haven't really failed 386.40, so that gives me a skosh of confidence, a scintilla of confidence here. Also, I do have to say, Ponzi Fonzie in the chat saying the day of the bear, but he didn't say the day of the bear. He said the day of the polar bear emoji, brown bear emoji, koala bear emoji, and panda bear emoji. I love that. I love the commitment. I love reading out the emojis, as we know. So I enjoyed that as well. Also, yeah, I do have to say, I like this this little candle I've got here in Microsoft with this. We look like we're kind of seeing buyers overpower sellers. We'll see if this continues. I'm not going to get out of this right now, though, because we haven't actually broken into a lower low. And we kind of continue to be able to get back up to this 387 or 386, 380 kind of area at which I entered. So I'm not, you know, we'll see how it goes. Also, a couple people mentioning ELEV, E-L-E-V, elevation oncology. And yeah, I have to say, it's very elevated on the day.
Oh.
But I couldn't help myself.
That one was like super on the nose.
Right?
Though.
I mean,
you had to, yeah.
I couldn't not do it. But yeah, I mean, I think that ELEV, good look on the day. Based on its name, I'm assuming it's a tech name because I think it was Elevation Technology. I would be shocked if it. Oh, sorry, oncology. I cannot read apparently. So yeah, biotech then, I guess. So still tech, but yeah, I'm not seeing any news on this one today. It looks like. Let me look at the daily. Apparently this was trading lower. Oh, because on as of January 10th, apparently, according to Benzinga, Elevation Oncology saying that it plans to provide an update from its ongoing phase 1 trial of EO3021 in mid-2024. So let me look at the daily on this because I'm kind of curious. With these small caps, I always think it's interesting to see what did we do on the day. Okay, I have to say, this looks a little bit better than some of these daily small caps.
The multi-day runner. So right away, you see that it's been running for the last 3-4 days. So there's obviously some sort of macro tailwind that's more than just good enough for one day.
Yeah, and it's run in the past, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, how long ago was that, though?
That was May 2023.
Oh, that's nice.
And also May 2023.
Yeah, those were really good.
Yeah. I also think, too, like, look at this. I know no small caps don't always respect levels, but I'm going to draw this out because I look at this level we have here that we're actually
really
kind of breaking into.
Level.
Bounced
nice.
Once, twice. Then we kind of bounced off the third time, then we fell through it, and then came back. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I noticed this stuff because of you and stuff, right, and going over it. And so I think, you know, just trying to learn a little bit here. But I think this 275-ish area could be key for ELEV. If we can stay elevated above, I like ELEV. If we can stay elevated above this, and that was intentional, above this at 275, I think this could be a nice change in tailwind here for ELEV or ELEV, if you will, because I do think this is a nice look to the upside. We've been running for a couple days. We'll have to see if we actually have the steam to take out this 275 with a vengeance, with a swiftness.
Oh, I want to mention another small cap gapper that just showed up on my scanner, Adara. SYT, halted, $7.17, up 72%. Percent. Come on, get it together. 185 or almost $186 million market cap. The float, guys, the float is wild. 258,000 shares. About a 250,000 share float. That should give you the idea about the volatility that this one is capable of. Underscore capable of, okay? It's done about 434,000 shares, about 100,000 of those shares came in the last 5 minutes. So the volume just starting to pick up. It basically did nothing. It was halted, it looks like. Oh, was it halted here? Yeah, it looks like it was halted here for quite a while, from around basically 9:31 to 11:50. So I didn't really get wind of this one until just right now. Halted at 17:17. Let's see the 5-minute look. I was actually halted way longer earlier. It's been halted multiple times. I'm just looking at it now. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at the 1-minute chart. Halted at 11:55 for 5 minutes, and again here at 12:03 for another 5. Came back down. Now we're halted again. Let's see what the possible resumption time is for this one. SYT. And the way that you can tell the resumption time, guys, is to go into your time in sales and look at the last trade that took place there, the last entry on the time in sales. So I see 12:30:18. So if we were to have a 5-minute halt, it will be 12:35:18 that it would resume. Currently, the tap on this bad boy, $9. We're halted at $7.15. There we go, right back down to 7:30. So this was very volatile. The halted auction right now is quite volatile. We'll see what we get at the actual open. But SYT, small cap gapper here, could make waves, especially with that micro float. 258,000 shares is absolutely nothing on these names. Is there a headline on SYT? I don't see a headline right now. Let me look. Oh, there we go. It's an acquisition. So SYLA, which is the name of the company. Let me bring that in. What's going on? There we go. SYLA Technologies concluded acquisition of 2.158 million shares of Reberstute, common stock from whatever largest shareholders. That's basically that's the headline. We don't need to dig deeper into that. If we're trading technicals, and we don't need to know too much about the fundamental story, just that one exists. That's basically it. So good luck for SYT. We'll wait to see whether it resumes or not. The other one I wanted to talk about was my possible trade, and I've got an alert set up here vis-a-vis this yellow line for AUVI. You know that my rule for the small cap gappers is to not take them long until they've cleared the pre-market high. The pre-market high is sitting at $3.39 on AUVI. I've got an alert at $3.30 to let me know it's made its way up there. The reason that I even keep this one in contention is because of these higher lows that it's been putting in essentially all morning, but at the same time lower highs, so a bit of a compression pattern. I'm looking probably for sometime in the more liquid time of the afternoon, 2:30, 3, for this one to really break through, start making higher highs, and then break through that pre-market high. I've already got an order set up for the break of 341. If this breaks 341, so I'll give it 2 pennies from the current pre-market high to get triggered. And then I'll be interested in getting in along on AUVI, holding VWAP and making higher lows. So it is interesting. But back to this meta trade that I'm in, we're still putting in lower highs, and it looks like I'm going to get stopped out again, as there was a bit of a momentary reprieve as we reclaimed 374, but it looks like it's not to be, and meta may end up being a losing trade, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in Microsoft. We're still having this little micro chop around this 395, which is my, or not 395, 386.95, that's what I meant, which is my point of entry. Like I said, if we make a lower low, I will say goodbye. We have not made a lower low. I'm kind of just hanging out, getting a skosh stressed because I don't like being in these trades for too long, you know what I mean? But it's all right. It is what it is. I don't want to leave just yet because we have not made lower lows, so the trade could still be valid. I do like as well that every time we do have selling, it's usually getting eaten up by buyers like Pac-Man. So I think that could be a decent look for Microsoft. Should we get that nice little swoop above that for, why do I keep saying numbers that Microsoft is not trading at? 386, 95, 387, I think that would be a good look. Also, Ruxana asking about Exxon, so let's pull up XOM.
Oh,
ZOM. Yeah, so I think, okay.
Dang.
Let me look at intraday. Yeah, I mean, all these oil names have been strong with the ongoing stuff in the Middle East and the Red Sea. But yeah, I think XOM is interesting. So we had lower high, lower lows. We broke out of this really chop and churn range in the pre-market, which was this kind of 99.8 area, swoop below, came back up almost a VWAP, and then came back down. We made a new lower low, and then we could not make a higher high. We almost made a higher high. And what's interesting too is, we were saying certain stocks interact with VWAP in peculiar ways on peculiar days, or on certain days. No, the days are not necessarily peculiar there. But yeah, I mean, we keep not being able to go above VWAP. We keep rejecting off VWAP. So I think that's kind of an interesting look for XOM. I think, though, it looks like we could be making a higher low. It could be doing what Delta was doing earlier, where we have a scotia of a higher low. Not 100% sure, though. I don't want to preempt that. But also, it does have these wicks to the downside, which I like, because it's buyers eating up sellers. So I think this is not at all necessarily a bad look at XOM, but I would wait to see what we do at VWAP, because VWAP has clearly been an area of resistance for XOM. Let me see the daily on this guy to see what areas we're talking about. Ooh, okay, this is a look. Let me zoom out a skosh. Yeah, we're sort of double bottoming, or I guess let me see if we actually. Yeah, we're trying to push off a double bottom of this 98. I think if we can break above this 103, 104 area, I think that would be of interest, especially given how much we chopped around there from November 9th to November 30th. So most of the month of November. I guess XOM was not having a November to remember. Looks like it was mostly chopping. But yeah, I mean, I find, yeah, this would, we tend to be like, and then we also were going around that range earlier too. May, about like 2 months here, May to July, also chopping and trading around that 104. So 104 could be a key area for XOM. I think if we break above that 102, 104 area, I think that could be key. So hopefully that helps. Roxana, thank you so much for putting that in the chat. I can go into the lesson.
Well, I just wanted to mention SYT because we were talking about this one. Now it is open. It's kind of doing a bit of a dance above the halt level at that 717, 720, making its way up possibly to 8. It had a couple of rejections in the high 7s there, 7 mid 80s or so. Be careful with this one. It is quite spready at the moment for a $7 name. There's about a 6-7 penny spread now, 15 or so. It changes every second. So up 80%, multiple halter to the upside, but steady state moving higher. About almost 1 million shares done now, with about almost 400,000 shares coming in the last 5 minutes. So this one really starting to accumulate volume here. We'll see whether it's able to hold, number one, the halt levels, and number two, whether it's able to break through that whole dollar area at 8. Make sure to plan accordingly with this one, because you can find yourself like a couple of bucks out of the money super quick on this name. And if it's a $7 name, there's a good chance you're probably going to size in with some shares, with some shareage. Otherwise, what's really a point in this whole thing? But coming back down possibly into that 720 level at the halt. Yeah, if you want to start the lesson there, Darren, then I can chime in, because a lot of the color that I was adding is not included in the document.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I could tell, because I was like looking, I was like, it's a little bit different. But I mean, I guess I could add some of, hopefully, oh, hi, Sean.
There's Sean. No
hopefully
days
he's enjoying
off.
his day off. Yeah, he's always
Love
there.
it.
Yeah, the Sean animations do not take days off.
Man
They don't go to the rink. They stay on the screen. But yeah, we will be talking about how to trade with level 2 data, tips and strategies, and some specific types of trades. So basically, the level 2 order book, as we've been talking about all week, can be super valuable and can really help with the trading, and can be an effective trading tool. So there's different techniques that you can use to get familiar with. We're going to be talking about 2 of them today. And one of them is basically
you can call it spread trading.
Spread trading, yeah, I appreciate that.
Probably a bad title there.
Yeah, spread trading. So some common techniques that we talked a little bit about liquidity earlier today, right? So a common technique among day traders is to find these markets with lower liquidity and set orders on either side, or get an execution on one side and then switch over to the other. But the thing is, this can be a bit of a risky strategy. However, it can also generate consistent profit over the long run if you learn how to master this technique. So a lot of this is, as Sharif was saying, just really looking at like the order book, looking at the tape, seeing where we have kind of orders behind you, right? And then kind of see what support you have, and then try to get in front of that.
Yeah, so this particular one, Adair, what we're really doing here is what we're really trying to focus on a buyout. So remember the key thing to the buyout. So what happens is company A announces they're going to take over company B. And company B stock is trading, let's say, at 10 bucks. Company A, however, announced they're going to buy them for 15 bucks a share. What typically happens is once that news breaks, you'll get an immediate algo spike on the chart where the stock jumps from 10 bucks in and around 15. It could be a little bit above, it could be a little bit below. that is what we call trading at a premium or below premium, okay? So what do we do in this particular case? Well, what typically happens for the rest of the day is the stock, and for multiple days thereafter, by the way, it's not just for that day.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's a multiple day play. You can actually do this. Is it really sideways trades, Adair? Sometimes it'll be a 3-4 penny. Sometimes it'll be 1 penny. And what you're trying to do here is get big shares on the bid for a buy, or if you want to go short, because I know you like going short. Right, you get in heavy on the ask, and you look to take advantage of the very tight range that the stock is trading in.
Okay.
And you get, like, say, again, the example I keep giving is 50,000 shares. You take 1 penny, right, and then you make money from that.
Okay.
And then you also make money from the rebate trading, and that's something I think Brenko's probably talked to you about, right,
yeah.
when he did the lessons. Is that some gateways that we have access to here will say, all right, Dara, you're willing to pony up 50,000 shares? I'm going to give you this much money back for you buying 50,000 shares and putting liquidity into the market.
Yes.
Markets need to be liquid, otherwise investors are fearful of getting in because then they can't get out. There's no exit plan, right?
Yeah,
so the more liquidity, you're rewarded for adding liquidity into the market.
Okay.
All right? So that's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to take very tight profits, 1, 2, 3 pennies, as well as rebate trading.
Okay.
The issue with that, as a retail trader at home, is you got to have big boy buying power because you're trying to take a lot of shares for a little move. So you got to have that money in your account, or your margin, which is the money that they give you on top of what you already got, right? You got to have a lot of that in order to take advantage of this trade. In addition to having a lot of money, you got to have access to gateways that pay you a rebate.
Or it's not really worth it otherwise?
It is, but it's not as worth it, right? So then you don't get that component of the profit. So that's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I also think too, because like you were saying, like one of the first things I remember hearing from Brankles is the main thing you want to do as a trader, especially in the prop firm, is add liquidity. You don't want to take away liquidity. You want to be able to add liquidity in whatever way. So I appreciate you going over that. I think that's really key, and I think that's something that it's nice to kind of have contextualized in this way as well. I also appreciate you saying it was multi-day, because I was always kind of confused, because I would hear traders on the floor talking about like a buyout that I know happened like a couple days ago, right? But it's cool to know that you can trade these.
I want you to keep an eye out for now on. Once you see a buyout, I want you to actually look at the chart and look at the big pop-up that I was telling you about, and then that total sideways move that
I will
the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, I like spotting patterns. I like looking for that stuff. So I will be having my eye out and my ear to the ground and seeing what Benzinga, what our good pal Benzinga is telling us there. But yeah, so I think that's the very neat kind of aspect too that you can be doing with this spread trading. We also have breakout trading, or trading breakouts. So it's possible to trade breakouts with a level 1 order book. Doing so with a level 2 data book can actually be clearer and more effective. That actually reminds me quickly too, I have a question with spread trading. So spread trading is probably less related to the chart, right? That's almost all level 2?
Yeah, it is. But you can see it reflected on the chart. When I tell you we're in a 1 or 2 penny range, you can kind of judge what the range is based on the chart. So is this stock ranging 10 pennies? Or is it ranging 2-3 pennies? So obviously you can watch the tape and figure that out for yourself after 10 minutes, or you can look at the chart.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, too. So I think, back to trading breakouts. I just kind of saw that and was like, I may as well ask this question before I forget it. But yeah, so when you can look at the price ladder with level 2 data and then see pressure building up or down to break the highest or lowest level of the day, and then you can find the right entry level and then make profits while trading this breakout, you can ultimately build a strategy entirely around this concept. So this is something you can do with level 2, just kind of looking what we see at the book and kind of how you see these prices build. And I'll even use an example. I'm not sure Microsoft would necessarily be a great example here, but we're kind of building towards this 387 break, so I can talk about it here. Why I'm staying in this trade is because we know part of my aspect with scalpulation is heavily watching what we do on the book and how the prices are moving, right? I was talking a little bit to Obi about this as well this week when we were talking about tape reading. But I think too, like what I've noticed is we did kind of get down earlier to these levels, this 386.4, but why I stayed in is because now we've been getting tighter. As we get closer to breaking 387 decisively, we're kind of getting more of this, like now we're trading more from 386.80 to 386.95, right? Or 386.90 to 386.95. So you can, in addition to looking at the chart kind of tighten up here, and then we have these wicks to the downside showing that the buyers are eating up sellers here, we could also look at the book and see, hey, you know what's interesting? As we're getting tighter. This range is getting a bit tighter the closer we get to the breakout. And I hope we really do have this breakout as someone who is legitimately invested and in this trade, in this paper trade here. Also, Meta earlier, I mean not now, but Meta earlier was kind of a breakout too, right? And so you could see that in the book as well, but you could also see this in the chart. Not the book currently, unfortunately, but like when it broke out, right? Because you did have, we were saying, there was someone in the chat asking, is this an ascending wedge or is it a bull flag? And Meta was a bit of both. But when we had this breakout, it did come with a swiftness. Yeah. And I think too, it's like you can even, regardless of what the book was doing, you can use the book for kind of confirmation that, or confluence that we're getting close. But you can also look at the chart. So we have like this really flat top here, this almost 375, higher high. Higher high. And also Opie was saying too that when we were talking about NVIDIA on, I believe, Monday, how he was saying, like, this isn't always the case, but he likes when some of these big breakouts or moments come at these key, like, even dollar levels. So NVIDIA
100%.
535 we were talking about, right?
1,000%.
Yeah, so I think just kind of touch back on, reflecting on all the
weight of
lessons
the
we
evidence,
had.
right?
Yeah,
So
the weight of the evidence.
Yeah.
I like that.
So if you're at the whole dollar level, you got VWAP at the whole dollar level, or support 1 at that level, and everything's pointing to that direction. The moving averages all start pointing upwards at that particular moment. So you're calculating this, you're calculating that. Somebody in the chat was asking me earlier, like, Sharif, do you use MACD or something like that to confirm what you're seeing? That's another thing that you can start incorporating as a confirmatory indicator, or one of your confirmatory indicators. Yeah. So always the weight of the evidence approach.
Yeah, no, I think an analogy you could use that I kind of just thought of, but I kind of like, is like, how you want to make a decision. You're ultimately going to be the one who makes that decision, right? But sometimes you ask friends for advice. And so maybe you could think of the indicators and like what's going on is like, different people's advice. Because ultimately the decision is going to be your own, but advice people give you can always kind of weigh in and be like, oh, what does that person think, right? And what is the MACD telling me? What's volume saying? What's the order book saying, right? Maybe this is kind of a belabored analogy, but I think could be kind of an interesting level. Also, I think too, we might have actually seen maybe a baby breakout in the wild because Microsoft, the esteemed Sir Softy, has just broken above the 387. So, right, because I was saying, like, if you look at the chart can kind of confirm that, but if you look at the order book, we did see that tightening up as the closer we got into 387, right? So, I mean, also, like I said, I'm hoping we get this breakout too, because I am in this trade and I have the beak wetters ready to go. The ducks are ready to dip their beaks into the softy pond. But yeah, so I think that's kind of an interesting look here, and thank you for kind of like filling in too as well. But so we can kind of fill in the gaps and have this look together. But yeah, I think it's really interesting how you can kind of get a better sense of what things are doing by looking at the tape in the book and actually seeing what buyers and sellers are interested in, what kind of action we're getting, especially as we get close to these key levels.
Yeah, all right, we're taking a tiny long here on SYT as it broke through 8 with another dip trade at 750. This is like for minimum shares, okay? So just wanted to make that point. But we're just to keep things interesting here at Dara on the learn to trade. I always say learn how to trade, which is totally wrong. But that's
what we're doing on learn to trade.
Yeah, exactly. Well, whatever. So SYT is nuts at the moment, and we want to participate in nuts because it's Friday and we got a day off Monday. So minimum shares at this level, guys, looking for that decided break through $8. It's been, doing the dance with no pants at the whole dollar level. I'm talking about $8, but not really able to close and stay above it. So up 88%, knocking the door of triple digits. We were saying this morning, or at the top of the show anyway, that we didn't have any triple digit winners on the day for small cap gappers. So maybe this will change things. I mean, it's only like 10% off at the moment. That could probably come fast and furious. I'm going to go ahead and put some beak wetters at different levels because old man hands can't hang. And yeah, I've got to have the the profit takers ready to go if we could get to those levels. We're definitely engaged in a battle between buyers and sellers at $8. I won't be convinced otherwise. Whichever way it resolves, though, that's left to be seen. But this $8 area, really a nice little tug of war. And then the volume's coming in well. Now, this one was suspect earlier on the amount of volume it's done on the day. Now it's 1 2/3 of a million, with about 500,000 shares done in the past 5 minutes. So that's good. It's picking up. It just has to go in the right direction. Average volume on this one, I should probably tell you, is 5,000 shares a day. Oh. So it's awfully small. So we're probably at a zillion times our vol at the moment right now. I'm kidding, of course, tongue in cheek.
It could be.
Yeah,
it really
knows,
could be.
Right? So we'll put in some beak whiters there. Trading PE. Why is the ES chart showing me a middle finger? I don't know, brother. Sometimes it gives me the bird as well. Let's just call it that. But you know, that's just how trading is, right? So yeah, just stick to your technicals. All right, one beak whiter there on SYT. Could we get the third? Ooh. Could this one really squeeze? Guys, there we go. We're going to take off a majority of the position here because this is ever so dangerous of a trade. So there we go, taking off a little bit.
That's a nice
take
pop.
out the whole damn thing? Aw, shucks. I took out the... See, this is why I suck. This is why I suck. How many times has Sean told me, move your flattened keys away from your order button? How many times has he told me that? And I refuse to do it. We're going to halt here at $0.75. Goodness, I suck. I had a good trade. Oh, goodness. Anyway, whatever. I hit the flatten key, guys, and I got out of the entire position rather than letting it continue. That's because I'm stupid, and one of my order buttons here is near my flatten buttons. The flatten button is like to get out of the trade. I have 3 of those. I have one 25% flatten, one is a 50%, and one's 100%. Somehow I think I hit the whole thing, so I do suck, Tom.
It's okay. It's still profit. The beak just got dunked instead of wet. But I understand it's hard with the keys. Like, I've done that before too, where I try to get into position and then out of the position and then I add more. But
eek. Yeah, well, shout out to Paulie. Paulie, come on, bro. We like your old name, you know. As much as I do like your real name, Paulie, I like your old name. Deez. That's my man Deez. Shout out to Fee Rhymes with AMC. Yeah, I fat fingered. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's kind of my fault though. I fat fingered. The big kahunas have been telling me forever, move those keys away. You can't have those keys close together because that's going to happen in, you know, the heat of the moment when things are moving around, you're fumbling and stuff. Anyway, it happens. So that's what it is. I need more lady fingers. That's Gabriel. Dude,
I wish that was actually like as a thing that would save. I feel like it does not make a difference what fingers.
I know you're not a big Seinfeld fan, but have you ever watched the Man Hands episode?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I went to a girls' school, so man hands would be like the big insult.
You know, that show was really good at categorizing people, right? He's a close talker. He's an aggressive handshaker. Yeah. This, that, and the other. It really drew categories around people. And anyway, I think I love that show.
Yeah, same with Curb Your Enthusiasm too.
Curb, of course, because same writer, right?
Yeah, right.
And let me tell you, when Larry David left Seinfeld, the quality of the writing, I love Seinfeld as an individual, but he's not as good of a writer as Larry David. He's a great, you know, comedian, right? But the quality went down. You could tell. It became so gimmicky the 2 years that they continued without Larry David.
Yeah.
Larry is the master of cringe, says the Chilean Nightmare, and I would have to agree.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
That is.
No Silverio, says San Telmo.
That one I do know. That one I do know.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I also would like to. We have Microsoft. We did get. We're out of Microsoft, and I want to talk about it because I planned this because, like I said, I always like getting out slightly before we have a new high, and I planned this because right before this newer high, or not new high, but new local high of that 387.80. But also look where we had all this consolidation earlier. There's 387.50, so I wanted to get 387.45. Happy I got out there because it actually. I mean, this doesn't always work this way, right? Like, I'm not saying, oh, this is foolproof. I'm just saying it's a strategy that I like using, especially for someone who is a bit scalpier. But I do. I kind of like that look there, right? So I got part of my profit out at the 387.20 just because I saw that's where we had some chop and churn earlier when we first had that wick when I initially got into this trade. And then I got the rest out, yeah, like I said, where I thought we have some consolidation. But yes, same kind of strategy as the Delta trade, noticing areas of support and resistance, trying to take advantage of these little micro moves. That actually was not a pun intended, but I'm happy I said it because of the Microsoft trade. I will say too, this one, I'm really happy I stayed patient because I was really considering getting out when we had that dip below that 387.40, but I was like, you know what, we haven't made a new low yet, which I said was going to be my point of exit. And I did the same thing with Google where we hadn't made a new low, but I got a little bit nervous and I got out. So just trying to learn from each trade is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. That is my, my kind of goal there. I agree, Richard Aiken, curb your enthusiasm is great. Yeah, and you know, we're just trying to be here and not curb our enthusiasm for trading because it is a very fun time. Also, Ian David, I know he tagged Sharif here, but I'm asking about URA. And I had some thought, I was talking about uranium earlier, so I'll look at this one if you do not mind too badly. Ian David here. Also, thank you, Bears versus Bulls, for the support in the chat. Thank you for all you do. Oh, URA had a really nice breakout of this consolidation. Sorry for the mild squealing there. I just really enjoy looking at these charts and these breakouts. So like I said, there was a major miner, I worded that poorly, a large miner in the world of uranium mining saying that they were likely to experience a production shortfall, and that had kind of weighed on the supply outlook. And so a lot of these other uranium names making new 52-week highs, new all-time highs, just doing really well on the day here. URA having this nice, we kind of had this nice move up, like all of these names had that nice move to the upside right off the open. Then we kind of hung out, we kind of chilled out from 9:50 to about 12. So about 3 hours just kind of chopping and churning here. Then right at 12, we start to have this nice little swoop up, making a higher high. Swoop, there it is. And yeah, I mean, the daily on this is like, there we go, breakout city.
Adara, SYT just opened up after another 5-minute halt. I have a dip trade set up at 750. That's no longer valid, so I'm taking that off. That was in case we didn't continue through 8. I wanted to have a better cost basis. This one is doing its wild dance. Look at the spread on this now. It just opened up to like almost 30 pennies. This is an $8 name. It's atypical for a stock of $8 to be 30 penny spread, but that's due in large part to its float. It has a micro float, 250,000 shares. That's madness in terms of volatility. That's why we are flirting with 100% up on the day. I think this one probably goes, maybe we see 10 or something thereabouts. 874 technically right now, HOD on SYT. Let's see if we get that continuity. Now, with respect to support and resistance, so, you know, you may not be so inclined to want to chase this. And if you are in that camp, if you are of that thinking, I completely sympathize. That's not my look. But this is what I want to say here. There's clearly an area of resistance early on. This was the first halt. Let me maximize this bad boy. We have clearly an area of resistance over here, multiple wicks into that level, all of which rejected, and then we got back into this level, again, near $8. So there should be some support here at $8. Now, if $8 doesn't hold, what's the next level that we could possibly look for a dip? I'm going to go say VWAP. So that's at 7 1/3 right now. So let's say 7.5 to 7 1/3 on SYT. I think those would be absolutely reasonable dip trades, but you should expect volatility even at those levels. So don't expect, you know, VWAP to hold strictly. It didn't hold strictly here. When we retraced into VWAP, you have wicking breaks, perfunctory breaks, all of which closed above VWAP. So don't expect it this time around either. It's too volatile of a name to really respect a price level to the penny, to the 2 pennies, whatever. So let's see, first and foremost, do we hold 8? That's kind of the first test here. We don't hold 8, right? Do we start making a bounce off VWAP at around 750, 7 1/3? That's going to be the look here on SYT. I feel like this one might get going. Right now it's done over 2 million shares. When we talked about this one initially, it had done barely 400,000. Now we're about 1.5 million more than that. And even though this one was halted for a while, we've done about 400,000 shares again in the last 5 minutes. Okay, so 8 has given up the ghost now, so we're now down into 7 3/4, coming into 7.5 here. Let's see what VWAP does, if anything, to this name. Once we get down here, SYT, awfully volatile, but presenting opportunities nonetheless. So we'll keep an eye on that. I haven't looked at these markets, Adara.
Ooh.
So maybe we'll have a look here at some of the Mag 7 names, unless anybody has anything. Oh, there are some tags here in the chat that I missed. Trading PE. Beware of the middle finger pattern on the ES 50-minute chart. Dude, I love that. I'm going to have to look at that just because you called it out. So we're
looking at the markets. I think that connects, yeah.
The middle finger pattern on the ES 15-minute look. The 15 is a price, sorry, not a price, a time frame that OB likes a lot. It's one that I use, but not as much as OB. I don't see the middle finger pattern. Where are you looking, my man? This excludes pre-market trading, though. So this is from the bell onwards on the ES March contract. Let's go ahead and put in the ticker there so everybody can follow along.
Maybe the first half was the first part of the middle finger?
This part? Right here?
Yeah, maybe it was like a mirror pattern on the other side, and that's where the middle finger's coming from?
This is, it's from here onwards. So from over
okay.
here onwards, right? So that's today's price action. This is yesterday's.
Right? Maybe the pre-market stuff is like the flip side of that.
I see. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Yeah. I don't have that there, so I'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's funny. Maxi Jr., great call on Morrow, long at 19. Letterkenny last season. Daryl joins the Degens. Look, I see a lot of commercials for Letterkenny on Canadian television, for obvious reasons. I actually have never gotten into it, even though I have Crave.
Yeah, same.
You don't like, why are you doing that cringe face?
I found it to be very just like linguist humor, and I like stuff like
Canadian.
that. Well, it's very Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just found like it's like a lot of guys just kind of hanging out and talking. And maybe the issue is I watch the pilot, and I'm not like, sometimes I don't like always starting a show with the first episode. So maybe I should have started like the second or third episode. Yes. And I know everyone makes fun of me that because like you're a writer, how can you not watch pilots? But I think with the exception of I think the Succession pilot was great. There are some pilots that are just great. But yeah, I mean, maybe I should have started with episode 2, but I just had a little bit of a hard time getting into that show. But I mean, good for them.
Fingered into AUVI, guys. I just got out of it. I didn't mean to get into this.
I thought you were involved in that.
No. I told you it needs to break through 341. So I hit this order by accident. So AUVI, that was a mistake. That was not supposed to be into that. I don't know how the hell I got into that trade. I didn't hit buy at all. Very bizarre. Sorry to interrupt you, Dara.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That's just kind of what I was saying there. I mean, like that's more important than whatever I was saying. But yeah, I think like I'm always very down to support Canadian TV. Fabian and me were talking earlier about the Law and Order Toronto, which I'm very excited for as an avid Law and Order watcher.
Okay. So I didn't know that they were going to do a Toronto version.
They are.
That's cool.
The title is Law and Order Toronto Criminal Intent. Could be a shorter title.
Are they going to say Toronto or Toronto?
I hope they say Toronto.
Remember that time that I like?
Oh yeah, you said Toronto, and I was very shook.
Super amateurish.
But
by the way, speaking of hometowns, a buddy of mine, he's like a machinist, and he was fixing a big piece of machinery outside north of Winnipeg, and he landed in Winnipeg. Why is it minus 31 in that place?
Oh, that's like not bad for us. I remember one time. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't fake a reaction.
It's minus 31. I would cease to exist in that like environment, Adara. My body would just like clench up and just be like, yeah, you had a good run.
Yeah, like when you get used to it, it's kind of like I know everyone says I don't wear enough of a winter coat because it's like here, like I'm sorry, it's not really winter to me. Or it's like less winter. Like we had minus 50 sometimes when I was a kid. Yeah. And we're also the Slurpee capital of Canada. And would you believe we get
Celsius, but there is overlap at those levels between Fahrenheit and Celsius, right? They get really close. Yeah, that's Celsius, guys. I don't know if that's worse.
Yeah, it's minus 31 Celsius and not Fahrenheit. Curtis the Conqueror, fantastic name. But yeah, so it's a little bit of a different. Yeah, we're negative 50 sometimes Celsius. So it's a little bit different. Like when I visit home, I'm always like giant, like fluffy boots.
Last time you went though, it was decent, right?
Last time I went, it wasn't too bad. And then it kind of got worse. Like the day I left the airport, I was like shivering outside. I was like, when I was leaving to get onto the plane, I was like.
Do you notice that you dress way different here than there?
I would say like coat wise, I have to borrow usually someone's like coat when I go to
When you go
Winnipeg
there?
because it's warmer.
Yeah.
And I don't really own like parkas here because I don't really need to. Or I find because I'm more accustomed to it. But yeah, no, I will say my best friend in Toronto was always like, yeah, if I'm going to Winnipeg, I'm only going in like May to July. And I was like, that's fair.
You got to get a super puff if you want to be a real Toronto girly.
Oh.
Have you seen that meme online if you want to be a Toronto girly?
Meme, but I've seen the Yorkdale super puff.
Yes, yeah, that's where it's coming from, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows about that store. It's a pop-up store, you know that, right? That's not around in the summer.
Because I thought
they have a digital sign, so you can bring anybody in. Put your sign on the digital sign. It's a pop-up store.
Okay.
Shows up in winter, and it'll be somebody else in the spring, somebody else in the summer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry for the distraction there.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
digressing. But yeah,
Nima says NVIDIA has lost its pulse. Okay.
Yeah.
Adera of adrenal.
I think that's a Frozen reference.
I like that. John Del Segno, IBIT curling, but potential double top resistance. Okay, good call on that, Mr. Longshorts. MNQ on the top side of the 5 minute. Don't DTL. What does DTL mean?
The minute.
I don't know what does that mean, Mr. Longshorts. But yeah, we are at VWAP on the NQ, but we're encountering resistance at VWAP, and I'm not surprised. What a slow kind of sideways day it has been on
down
these.
Trend line, sorry.
Downtrend line, gotcha, thank you. I'm not down with the lingo, old man. But yeah, literally, I mean, Google and Microsoft are, to me, the only uptrending Mag 7 names. We thought Meta was going to be good, and then it kind of got me in trouble. Rocketed up here, but still at VWAP, while Google, Microsoft decidedly above VWAP at the moment. Tesla, Apple, Amazon all below VWAP, including NVIDIA. NVIDIA also encountering a lot of resistance at VWAP. Look how many wicks we're getting into VWAP on NVDA. Can't take it. So clearly there's some sort of buying program doing the dance with no pants there at VWAP with NVIDIA. So I'm not going to participate in any of these names, but it looks like Google is the one to look at the moment if you're long inclined, up 0.2%, knocking the door of that whole dollar level at 143. Softy as well. I don't want to discount Softy because it's also knocking the door of 388, okay? And it's also curling off VWAP. So it looks like we chose the wrong horse here when we chose to get long Meta. It should have been Google or Softy. But I got to tell you, Meta gave me the better look initially. It didn't end up working in my favor, so sucks to be me. But yeah, so that's a look there. SYT, let's go back to this one before we restart the lesson. Adera. Right at VWAP we go on SYT. Do we find some support? We were talking about if 8 failed on SYT, the next level for a possible dip would be VWAP. We are at VWAP right now. A couple of dips into it. It's held so far, but we're still putting in lower highs and lower lows. There's been no curl. As Neil likes to say, get it on the back end. Wait till it proves to you, yes, I am support, and it starts showing you a couple of green candles and a curl back to the high side. Unless we get that, I'm not just going to buy blindly at VWAP. It's just too dangerous of a name to take. It's got a 250,000 share float. It will punch you in the face without any remorse.
I love that terminology. It'll just punch you. Right?
Let's see what else people are talking about in the chat. Paulie D says NVIDIA pattern looks. Oh, come on, Paulie. Killing me, bro. Can't read
I got
that
a
out
kick
loud.
out of that too.
No, Ram. Ram wants to get me fired. SoFi has been pretty strong, says Kendall Lopez. You want to have a look at SoFi?
Yeah,
for Kendall?
let's look at SoFi. It's not so fine for SoFi. Let me see here. Has been pretty strong. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll check on the daily. I will say I kind of get what you mean. It looks like we're maybe trying to push off this 790. Can you clarify a time frame, Kendall, if you don't mind, on SoFi? Because yeah, I think we're down a little bit here on the day, but I think we tried to have this recovery at this 795, almost 8. Got up to, I remember when this thing was at 10, this is crazy. And then we kind of moved, we couldn't really get this 804, again, the new higher high. Then we consolidated around this 796, 798. Oh, Softy, like Microsoft. Okay, Sorry, it wasn't SoFi, it was Softy.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
like, you know, synonym for Microsoft.
Yeah, no, sorry, I thought it was SoFi.
Gotcha.
But apologies for that. Yeah, Microsoft has been really strong.
Oh, I said SoFi, my bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
My
Yeah,
bad,
I
my
also
bad.
thought it looked like SoFi. D'Lo saying strong to the downside. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, sorry about that, Kendall. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, no, I think I like that we had this double bounce off this 385. Then we had, you know, a little push off this 386 off of VWAP. Another name that's interacting in an interesting way with VWAP, much like Google, actually. The two stronger names here on the Mag 7. But yeah, look at this nice VWAP bounce. Cut below it, then come back up, bounce off, VWAP. I got involved here because look where I was like, you know, maybe some resistance becomes support. It ended up working out. It kind of curled. It did that, you know. I didn't get involved in the back end. I kind of got involved in the mid. But yeah, not a horrible look here. And then we kind of swooped back up here. And then I think what we do here at this 388 could be interesting because that was where we fell earlier. I'm going to watch this for 388, but I will agree with you, Kendall. It is strong. I think if it makes it above this 388.50, I think that could be a fantastic look here for Softy and not SoFi.
Oh. SYT, guys, I missed this trade. Okay, so it holds the VWAP to the T, rockets up 60 pennies, and now is doing that dance at 8. Even if it doesn't break 8, okay? Even if it actually stalls out below 8, maybe tanks, makes a lower low below that 7 and a third. I missed this trade out of fear, not out of not knowing about it, especially since I called it out. So let's just call a spade a spade. Didn't take this out of straight up fear because of the low float and the fact that I already got, you know, an in on it, and it's just, you know, you don't oversell, you're welcome. Clearly another seller at 8 coming in here as we have 1, 2, 3, 3 1-minute candles all wicking off that 808 level. And now coming back down to 7.25. But this is what I was talking about here at 740, 7 1/3. You could have taken nice 63 pennies, 50 pennies, depending on where you got in, into $8 on SYT. You know, especially because first time around it did respect VWAP, right? And then second time around it did it again. So it just touched VWAP again. But keep your eye on the spread, because even if you get filled at your money fill, like say you get that 750 fill, look at it. It's moving between 75 and 50 between one tick to the next, meaning the spread is like almost 25 pennies. I don't even need to look at the level 2. I can already tell you what the spread is just looking at how it's trading on the chart. So it's awfully tough. So even if you get the fill that you want, there's no guaranteeing that you're going to get your sell order filled because it's going to cross, right? So anyway, SYT continuing to provide opportunities here on a day where I would say that the market kind of, well, I was going to say kind of dead on the NQ, where we just went green on the NQ Adara. So we just took yesterday's closing print here. So we are marginally green, 0.02%. We haven't broken through this high over here at 16 mid-90s. 16.9 mid-90s. I would like a 17,000 break, and I think that would present a good opportunity to take the high of the day of 17,042. Especially if we get 17,000 and stay above 17,000, not do the same thing that we did over here with 17,000, which is wick into it and then reject like almost 100 points. So keeping an eye on the NQ, but Google and Microsoft continue to print to the high side. Looks like Meta has awoken here from its little siesta that it took at the most convenient time when I got into it. It's now knocking on the door of 375 Adara. And what it's done is it's now reclaimed VWAP, bounced off VWAP, and now knocking on the whole dollar level for a possible $2 move into the high a day, especially if the NQ starts getting into that 17,000 mode, right? So we're going to have to keep an eye on Meta. It's strong on the day, but the other alternatives, if you are long inclined and you're not looking to short, because I don't really see any good shorts at the moment on the Mag 7. But Microsoft and Google, some alternatives to Meta. Google at day's highs. Microsoft knocking on the door of 388 again. It's been a beautiful bounce off VWAP at that 386.5. You get taken $1.50 off that VWAP bounce on Softy. Good look there. It found resistance initially at support level, resistance level 1, which is the dotted teal line. Shout out to Max. Trust the teal, baby. At the high there. So a couple of good looks on Softy. Nothing for me. Let me just move back here quickly to SYT. Yeah, still south of 8, above VWAP. Not interested in this name until it finds, finds what it wants to do. All right, let's see what the chat's up to here. Jeremy Newman, Roma looks like a consolidation wedge under VWAP. I know, but what are your thoughts? My man knows exactly what I think. I like that. Shout out to Jeremy. Because I'm not going to take small cap gappers that are south of VWAP. So let's go ahead and pull up Roma. Roma was a small cap gapper from yesterday. The Neil was involved on that, as well as a few other traders on the floor. This is what we're looking at. That's that big boy move yesterday for Roma through that $4 pre-market bottom, and then it rocketed up into 6 3/4. So it was a great move for Roma, but giving up the ghost today, as typically some of these small cap gappers do. Right, so we're barely green on the day. Let me put in a horizontal line at yesterday's closing price. That takes us right here. We're marginally green. We're below VWAP. We did hold that 375. Higher lows, Jeremy, which is good. Now we're pumping. We're above 4. Let me pull up Roma over here just so that it could update the ticker. One moment. There we go. That should update. Yeah, so decent look, reclaiming the whole dollar level. Let's see what happens though, Jeremy, at VWAP. So when we get into that 4 1/3, that 4 or 435, do we get a rejection, or do we reclaim VWAP and then make another test at highs, right? So the pre-market high on this bad boy was 491. You did break the pre-market high. You went to 511. That probably isn't what you were looking for if you took my rule of taking the long north of the pre-market high. So there's some bamboozlement in this name so far. That's the way I'd see it, especially as a second day play. So I wouldn't get involved until 4 1/3. I'd wait to see, does it reject off VWAP or does it continue? If you wanted, what I would say to you is maybe get involved here with a tight stop below that 395 area. That seems to be the kind of consolidation bottom going until about maybe 12 o'clock or so. So about an hour and 20 minutes, that 395 has held. So if you're interested, you want to get long now, you got a case of FOMO, or maybe if you're even less risk inclined, a break of 4, you get out. But not a bad look, obviously, on Roma because it is it's on a lot of people's radars. It was running up big boy yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good look.
Yeah, so NQ rejected says, Nima, I wouldn't say really rejected. I'd say it's at VWAP and it hasn't really decided what it's going to do. All right, Adara, let's start with the lesson again.
Yes.
A short one today. Fabian, if you're able to, or is that Ramram? Yeah, it's Ramram. If you can restart the topics, please, and then we can, Adara and I can talk a little bit about this. Let me just load up my trusty notes over here.
Indeed.
Yes, there we go.
Trust the teal and trust the notes.
All right, so easy one today, guys. What we're talking about is spread trading. And spread trading, the way that, I've done it, basically the only way that I've done it, I'm not saying it's the only way, but the only way that I have is on buyouts. Oftentimes what you'll have is company A says, look, I like the look of company B, I'm buying it. And so what they'll do is they'll buy all the outstanding shares, but in order to kind of get the board and management from company B on their side, they'll buy it at a premium. So if it's trading at 10 bucks, they'll buy it at 15. And so what'll happen as soon as that's announced, the algos read it. Right? The algos are, whatever AI they're using these days, it reads it and it takes a decision based on what it just read. So what you see is a huge algo spike on the chart bumping up into that buyout price area. So again, if the company was trading at 10, the buyout price was $15 a share, it'll typically jump to around 15 bucks. Now, it may trade a little bit above 15 bucks, it may trade a little bit below 15 bucks. So if it's trading above it, it's trading at a premium. If it's trading below, it's trading at a discount, okay? And you can make your own inferences as to what that means if it's trading at a premium, okay? The point is now is to look at the price action after that big algo spike, okay? Where it moves from 10 to 15. What it typically does at that particular time and for the rest of the day and for the rest of the subsequent days is it trades horizontally, right? It'll trade maybe with a 1-2 penny range, really depending on the stock. It could be a wider range for a higher price stock. But the lower ones are going to trade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies, something like that. What you're trying to do in this particular strategy for these buyout trades is to buy at the low end on the bid and then sell for a 1-2 penny gain on the ask. And you repeat that over and over and over. And you're supposed to size in heavily during that time. So you buy, let's say, at $15.05, 50,000 shares, 10,000 shares, and then you get out at 15,007 cents. So you're making money in two ways, possibly, on this type of trade. One, you're taking the 2 pennies with big shares. So that's one area of profit. Number two, if you're using the right gateway, if you're using a gateway that pays you to add liquidity into the market, you will get what we call a rebate, where the market maker will say, Sharif, thank you for adding liquidity into the market by buying these 5,000 shares. I'm going to rebate you X amount of dollars, and it's based on usually a per share basis, okay? And then so you make money in one of two ways. So what you're looking for here on the level 2, because that's what we're talking about this week, is basically, remember if I could show the level 2, you're looking for resistance levels. Ramran, come to my chart. You're looking for key resistance levels above that range. So so if you're going long at 1505, you want to see where is the size that may block me from ascending to 1506 or 1507. And so what you're really going to see typically in these buyouts is really, really dense level 2. So you can see on SYT, super thin, right? We only have a couple of, 100 shares at every one level, maybe a couple of 100 shares if we're lucky. What you typically see on a buyout is like all these numbers over in this area over here where it says size, it would be packed with thousands and hundreds at every single level. And so what you do in that particular case is you're trying to make an analysis of whether there's more buying based on what is available on the level 2 on the bid versus what is sitting on the ask on the level 2. And it's an acquired strategy here. So you're buying and you're trying to move up 1 or 2 pennies. And you're trying to look to see, number one, is there size that's moving up with me? Is there an aggressive buyer who's keeping this stock from falling below that 1505 level that I bought at? Conversely, you're looking, is there a seller that's really kind of keeping all the buying down at 1506, 1507? And so you may have to be in the trade for like a day, sometimes 4 or 5 hours, maybe even more, right? And you're rinsing and repeating. You're getting in at 1505, you're getting out at 1506. You're doing it again, whether taking a short back down into 1505 or waiting for it to come back into 1505 before buying again. So a bunch of different strategies you can use there, and the level 2 will kind of help guide what you should be looking at and where the size is. So that's basically the range trade there. The breakout trade, a lot easier to explain. And the explanation I like to give is that NVIDIA trade. So we had that $500 level on NVIDIA for a while, okay? And every time we came around there, it would basically flirt with that level and then tank. So that was over a period of days. But let's just say that happened intraday. I want to take that 500 long, right? So what am I looking for? Number one, I want to look to see how much size is sitting on the ask at 500 and just a little bit above 500, 510, 525. A lot easier said than done, because once the price comes into that key technical level of 500, the tape starts moving like crazy. The level 2 starts moving up and down, sideways, because a lot of people are getting involved in that at that price. You're not the only person that knows about 500 on NVIDIA. A lot of other people know too. So once you get into that level, it starts moving around real quick, and it's hard to read the level 2 at that level. So at that time. So you really need to practice this and be able to kind of hone your level 2 reading skills. That's number one. Number two, you're looking at who's supporting you from the bid. Are there any big bids that are going to backstop you if that 500 level gets rejected? And so you need to do an analysis of the bid side on the level 2 as equally as you do on the ask side. And what you should be noticing is whether a bid is moving up with the price. So if initially we got to $499.25 and we had a huge bidder at $499, 25 pennies away from the current price action. Say we move up to $49.50. maybe that bidder moved up from 49 into 49.25. So you're looking for that big buyer to move up with you as the price action moves up towards that $500 level. And the reason you want to see something like that is because if it rejects off 500, you want to know that there's going to be a buyer there to at least, you know, slow it down in its descent. Maybe it stops at that 49.5 before that big buyer gets eaten through and we move back down into 4.99. So that's what you're looking for there. That's the breakout trade. Now, with respect to managing risk on these breakout trades. So the chart that I kind of wanted to show, so if you're going to take, let me just load it up here, open image in new tab. If you're going to take this breakout trade, so say this 105 is actually 500. And so let's say this is not a monthly chart, it's an intraday chart. And we have higher lows on NVIDIA approaching that 500. What I would do is definitely I'd be looking either to get in before 500 if I was feeling risky or wait for the 500 break. But if things were to go awry, I would definitely be looking to get out at the previous low. I don't want to see a lower low because if I see a lower low, then the trend to me is no longer intact. But you may not always get this ascending wedge trade on these flat top breakouts. So everything is going to be super contextual about how you get in on the breakout trade and where your stop is placed on the breakout trade. So hope that helps. Very basic, kind of like just a 411 into range trading or breakout trade.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask as well. So with the spread trading, so it's like you're really kind of watching the book and kind of seeing what price movements there are, right? So would you be timing kind of your entrances or trying to find like how much profit you want to take from it based on what other people are doing here, basically, right? So it's a lot.
Oh, so explain. What do you mean?
Okay,
what other people are doing?
I'm trying to find a way of wording
Oh,
this.
because if there's a big seller holding me down, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I've been watching the stock at and I've been noticing over the last half an hour, this has had a range of 2 pennies.
Yeah.
Then I really wouldn't be right to anticipate a 4-penny winner.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So let's see what this bad boy's done. If it's giving me 1 penny ranges, 2, 3, let me take what it's been giving me on a typical basis rather than hoping, you know, I get the best out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what I would temper my expectations in that way. And that would be my target based on what it's been doing.
Thank you so much. I have another question then kind of,
Absolutely.
It's related a bit to the small caps as well, but I think it ties into the spread trading too. So my question is, do you find, because you'll trade it, like I know you don't really trade like the penny stocks if it's below 85 cents, but you trade a lot of the small caps of different values, right? Like you'll trade like the $10 ones or like the $2 ones. Do you notice that the books move differently depending on how much the small cap is?
Yes. Okay. So number one,
if that made sense,
it does. Okay. It does make pure sense. What I would say to that is, number one, the spread and the volatility is determined typically by the float. Okay. If the float is tiny, like we saw in SYT, which is 250,000 shares, it's going to do madness things, okay? Like what SYT's been doing. And SYT's having like let's honestly call it a tame day for a 250,000 share stock. So that's number one. I would take note immediately of the float and its previous volatility. Obviously, you know what we do. Once we get a small cap gapper, we go to the daily. We determine, is it a former runner?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So is this bad boy a former runner? Where is the obvious level of resistance on the daily if there is one? If there isn't, I mean, obviously we can't do anything about that. And then obviously my small cap gapper rules above pre-market high, above VWAP. But yes, you're absolutely right. The spread and the volatility typically determined by float.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering about that too with regards to, I'm sure people who do buyout trades regularly, they kind of understand like the difference in how the spread moves depending on the value of the stock. So that's just why I wanted to touch on that, because I think maybe sometimes when people have questions, like, you know, other people share them as well. So I figured I might ask that. And thank you so much for
always. You're adding context. Maybe if people didn't even have that question, you gave them the idea about it, right?
Sometimes, yeah, I feel like what's nice too about questions, and so I appreciate everybody in the chat as well, giving their opinions and their questions, is it's like, you know, it all kind of like builds together to add, you know, like some accumulated knowledge, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so look, I don't know, I think I'm like cruising for a bruising here because I want to get back in meta because we're kind of flat topping at 375 but putting in higher lows, and we're also kind of well, that's the thing though, we're not doing anything on the futures. Let's just call a spade. We're up 0.02%. We're right at yesterday's close. So if I'm wishing we're going to pump here on meta, I'm not getting the kind of support that I need to see from the futures. Obviously, we're off lows at that 16.9 1/4, but we're at 16.9 3/4 now. So, wow, what a rangy day. It hasn't been the kind of nice day you want to see before a long weekend, but maybe that's why we are so range bound on this day, because we are obviously off on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Markets are closed. I think the futures may open for a couple of hours, something like that. Brendo, do you know if we're open for a couple of hours on the future on Monday? Electronically, yeah, we should be open on the future. I don't know for exactly how long or exactly what time, but I know typically we open a little bit. So, yeah, make sure to keep an eye on that. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye on Meta here because I don't know, I like it.
Yeah.
Paulie, you're killing me, bro. Come on. What else is being talked about in the chat? Nothing. Fonzie says Ram heart eyes. There you go, Ram. You got a following now, huh? Okay. Ram's doing her thing. Ram, put that camera on. She said no.
She said, yeah, I like to.
We gotta get Fabian to give me like the program button over here so I can have the override switch. There she is. All right, good time.
Yeah, we have a good time over here always.
Futures open at 6 p.m. Eastern Sunday and close at 1 p.m. Monday. Thank you, Lucanoli. Appreciate that. Yep, I kind of knew that we would be open on the future. Just didn't know exactly.
I like that name too, Lucanoli.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Definitely. I had a lot of cannolis this past. We don't call them cannolis. We call them cannellonis. I don't know why.
I heard of cannellonis. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't realize they were the same thing.
I had a lot for my Christmas this past weekend. So
How was your Christmas? I really haven't totally asked how your Christmas was.
Oh, it was so good. A lot of family. A lot of family came over. Still my sister and the grandkids. My niece and nephew weren't there. I know. Right?
It took me a moment. I like nodded along. Right? I was like, that's correct.
And my niece and nephew weren't there, but they came for New Year's, so that was pretty cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. But yeah. Otherwise, it was awesome sauce. Lots of food.
That's what Christmas is all about.
I know. I ended up going to church, so I kind of felt bad about that. But, I'll probably go there Sunday. So it's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your look over there?
My look over here is actually SoFi pulled up for Renata because she said, Adara, SoFi 788, big level in a daily chart. Can you check it? Thanks. I was like, I like the manners. I was looking at SoFi accidentally earlier instead of Softy. So yeah, SoFi definitely, you mentioned the daily, so I'll look at the daily for 788 because we are at 78. 788, also low of day. Oh yeah, the daily worked for me. Okay. Oh, I totally see what you mean, Renata. You called it out when you said 788, a big level for SoFi on the daily. I would go as far as to say 788, 8, like that kind of range. Because look at this. Like we had this pseudo double top, and then with lower lows as well. And then we come back with the vengeance. We fly right back up, make a slightly higher high in the longer term at this 1040 on December 28th. I guess SoFi had a Santa Claus rally of its own. And then it flew down here, and look where we are now. We're at this other area where we have this consolidation. We know we have consolidation around 8, or that 780 area. That's really interesting. Also, look, if you want to go even further back, we had a little bit of a spike up to 960, then we fell into 780, 8 area. Then we go back to 8 in the 788 area. Then again, we hit it August 18th, 2023. I did not realize the extent of this level. So thank you for saying that, Renata. Yeah, I think it's an interesting look. I would say from here, we usually seem to get a bit of a pop here. And when I say usually, I mean when we did this in July and then we did it again in September, this 910 area, I would say we need to grab 910 and we need to hold it, near and dear to our hearts. No, I'm joking. I just think SoFi needs to reclaim 910 on a chart level. That would be my take. Then I like this pseudo double top at 960, 970, I would say. And then we kind of get it again, consolidation here during December. So I would say, Renata, my levels are SoFi, at least not advice, just my take on the chart. This 910 area and then this 960, 970 could be of interest. Also, I just quickly, there was something so someone was asking why Tesla long. I did go Tesla long briefly. And this was, I think the thing is too, is a lot of the trades I make, I realize probably are huh? But it's because I'm trying to scalp stuff, right? So this was very much an example of a range scalp. I was planning on getting this because I noticed we had this continued failure off this 219.80. But we kind of kept trying to get back into it, right? So I was like, if I can take this to about 219.80, because we keep being able to touch that, then that'll be it, right? We never got to 218.80, but I noticed we kept getting into 219.80, but we kept getting into 219.50, 219.45, right? So I watched this for a while, and I say, you know what? We're going to get a 219.45, 15-cent move, but no regrets. You know, happy it went okay. My plan for getting out was if we dip below that 219.10 area, because that was where we had that giant fall from grace earlier. So just really tight stops. Also, another resolution of mine for day trading that you mentioned was I think tighter stops when I'm going to do these scalpier moves that are a bit riskier and maybe a bit counter trend.
Yes.
And then also, yeah, just like kind of I guess trying to commit, right? Like seeing an idea, sticking to it until it falls off, because the trend is your friend till the end when it bends. Shout out to Neil and Obi.
Oh yeah.
And also, I guess my trend is scalping, so just try to scalp in a way that's more efficient would be my goal there.
Calculation.
Thank you. Scalpulation.
What are you up to this long weekend?
Oh, I keep forgetting it's a long weekend.
You have a long weekend. You got to use that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm going to TIFF tomorrow. They have year-round stuff, so I'm seeing a
TIFF?
move. Yeah.
Bell Lightbox TIFF?
Yes.
Oh,
TIFF, yeah,
nice.
You know your stuff. Yeah, TIFF Bell
okay.
Lightbox. So they have like a little lounge there. So I usually do some writing in the lounge. I'm going to see a movie
That's
tomorrow.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, you write. What are you writing right now? Do you want to share?
Oh
anything
yeah.
about
I mean,
that?
I do like screenplays kind of stuff. Screenplays. Trying to move into pilots. So yeah. I mean, I have some
particular genre.
I do. I did teen dramas for a bit. I'm trying to move it because those are kind of fun to write, but I'm trying to move out of that a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, I think being on the trading floor has given me some inspiration. So
interesting.
there
I
might
wonder
be
if you
some
can
trading
get something
related.
trading.
Right?
I think that would be like an untouched. Well, probably not as touched as teen drama as
That's
maybe
what
a
I'm
rom-com
thinking too,
and stuff
right?
like
So
that.
because I'm not a rom-com person at all. But yeah, I think the trading has really been inspiring me. You know, getting into market mode and also kind of helping in other areas. What about you? What are your long weekend plans?
I don't know. I want to see the Cybertruck at Yorkdale.
Oh, it's
at Yorkdale.
Maybe
Now. They
I'll
brought
do
it
that
to
my long
Yorkdale, so
weekend.
I want to go see the Cybertruck. I know it's small dreams, but what can I say?
I mean, for you, that's not a small dream. I know you really wanted to see the Cybertruck,
Well, it's
so.
like going to be out of like reality for me for a while until number one, they can make a lot of them, so people don't price them $50,000, $100,000 above asking before I can get my hands on one. But I just want to see what it looks like IRL.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, that's basically it. Maybe go out with a couple of buddies, but no big plans. At least not yet. Maybe I'll get something a little bit better as the weekend develops.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens. My friends and I, we don't plan anything. And like, oh, I'm bored. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Want to go out? Cool, let's go. And they all live in my area too, which is nice.
Oh, that's
right?
really
Yeah,
convenient.
which is really convenient. Well, it was by design. Right, once I left my parents, right, when like almost 15 years ago now, once I left there and I moved down to where I live, like it became like a burden to want to go and hang out with your old friends because it was like a half an hour drive. So I'm like, I need to make new friends, right? So I made new friends at the gym. So that's just the way it is. Cool, calm, collected. Dude, that thing is fugly. Yes, I know. A lot of people think it's no good, but I think it is an acquired taste. You know what I've noticed? The people who have seen the Cybertruck since it came out, that were aware of it since 2019 when Elon Musk announced it, it's grown on them. They've had time to digest it, time to absorb it, to get used to its, ghoulish looks. But the people who are seeing it for the first time or just recently, they can't hang. I mean, most of them like, what the hell is this, bro?
You have to be used to it. Yeah, it's like drinking like matcha or something. Like I love matcha, but the first time anyone tries matcha, myself included, you're always like, and then you kind of get used to it. Now it's like you end up liking the taste, right? I think that's probably like, maybe a weird comparison, but I think
I get what you're saying. Darwin's saying never grew on me. Look, it's not a hard and fast rule. I get there's going to be some outliers, but you're right. I mean, it's not for everybody. That's definitely interesting there. It's an ugly truck, says John DiPietro. Ivan Otero, ugliest car ever. Steven, exactly. Thought it was the ugliest thing, then it grew on me. All right, so Steven and I see eye to eye on that one. Iced matcha hits the spot, says Rushabah Shah. All right, there you go. Darwin says to each their own. I get it. It feels like I'm transported to the future when it drives by. Exactly. It looks like it's supposed to be on the moon. It looks like it's way ahead of its time. What I like about it is the fact that they're able to bend the stainless steel, and you're not supposed to be able to bend stainless steel all that easily or all that much And the fact that it kind of gives it its exoskeleton strength. It's not actually the chassis.
Yeah, I like
it's like
that.
an insect or something, right? Like the fact that it has this really strong exterior kind of gives it this protection that I really like, but I don't know.
I'm just dying at
I'm such a
exoskeleton
sucker
strength.
when it comes to technology. I can probably be bamboozled and my money taken as easily as, anybody else. All right, guys, let's talk some markets here. Microsoft is the gift that keeps on giving. It is headed to the high side. It is now about 10 pennies off the daily high. Softy has been a really good look on the day, especially when you can compare it to the other Mag 7 names. 1% here for Softy as we come into that pivot point area at the teal 388.75. We're about 10 pennies away from the high. The market is kind of doing that little bit of a dance above the previous day's close. So we're no longer up 0.02%. We're up 0.05 now. So yeah, we're really moving here, guys. No, but in all seriousness, we're going to be stuck in this sideways trend until we can make a nice newer high here above that 17,000 and decidedly close above it. You're getting some curls here on the likes of Apple and even the Amazonian coming through VWAP. Google continues to remain above that 143 level as well, but it's really Microsoft here that's making the best move at the Mag 7. Of course, lo and behold, I'm stuck in Meta, right? Because I'm.
How is Meta going?
We're flat. Are we positive? Yeah, we're like a couple pennies positive. It's not doing anything. I got a beak wetter here at the top end of the range, looking for it to break through 375, but that may come at a later time of day if it comes at all. Trading PE is a mob boss. Okay. I'm not a mob boss. Trust me. Maybe the Katina man, right? He's got the heritage there. John Del Segno. Bull flag on a low float but bullish semiconductor, ACMR. Let's have a look at ACMR for our friend John Del Segno, one of Katina's boys over there. ACMR. Ooh, okay. What's this one all about? Nice bull flag. You're right. AC. Let me. ACMR. Sorry, guys. It's jumping from stock to stock. All right. We're up 5%. We rejected off that. Looks like 22.25. What's the volume on this bad boy? It's sub 1 million though, John. I can't get behind something that's $21 and only done 833,000 shares on the day. It's a good look though. I'm not going to lie about that. It's a nice bull flag holding VWAP. I'll keep an eye on it, but it's not my fave. But yeah, good call out there on the bull flag. We'll see if it's able to look to the high side and continue trading to the high a day. Let's see what else we are saying here. Okay, Skipper looks like he invented a new stainless steel waiting for U.S. patent approval. Okay, well let us know if you're able to sell that to Tesla and make some money, because it looks as if they were having issues bending the stainless steel. They're like, you can only bend it once or twice before it gets disfigured. So like the manufacturing process for the Cybertruck was quite cumbersome.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Also, great word, cumbersome.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a good word.
Nima, what is NVIDIA doing? It's doing nothing, Nima. It is really very sideways, and it's been hugging VWAP. I mean, like, you tell me. Look over here. You tell me what it's doing. I mean, it is in a very tight range. It looks like really market participants have taken an early weekend, at least maybe during the midday, maybe the big kahunas. Can get something out of this market in the afternoon. But right now, very rangy, for the exception, again, of Microsoft. NVIDIA, very tight, hugging VWAP, south of 547 in that 546.5 range. We'll have to see whether that's able to get some momentum behind it or not, but not for the moment. It's not, Adara.
Yeah, no, I think I like Ivan Otero Jr.'s question. In times like this, what's your best word advice for trading? I mean, I don't know if I can provide that much. I'm still new. I would say let it come to you. Don't try to force trades and just kind of see what happens, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think, if you're seeing opportunities, try it and have risk in mind. With that in mind, I should probably address this in the chat. Chris Ramos, explanation on that Citigroup short? Yeah, I did short Citigroup. Why? Because I like this kind of curling down we have a little bit. Really tight out. Like if we break this 53, I'm outie. Au revoir, sayonara. I also took a scintilla of shares. I took the smallest amount of shares that one can take because, like I said, one of my things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to de-risk a little bit so I feel more comfortable entering to trades. That's one of my other things I'm kind of looking at, working on here. And I'm planning on taking it to about 52.35. Like I said, I don't really stay in trade super long. I like to see, you know, kind of previous areas of potential support or resistance, and then see what happens here. Also, Lake South Tiger saying Sharif is my favorite. So shout out to
Lake South Tiger. I like that name, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's a great name. Also, yeah, I guess for out, I like this 52.35 because look where we had that pickup earlier, and look where we had some chop and churn later. Yeah, thank you. I mean, we'll see if the short actually comes to fruition. We're kind of edging higher now.
This is an interesting company, eh? Like they would have actually turned a profit, Adara, had it not been for the foreign currency problems that they're having.
I saw that.
They had some leftover Russian pesos, get it together, Sharif. Argentinian pesos and Russian rubles that have really lost their value over the past couple of years. You probably heard a lot about the runaway inflation in Argentina, right? And obviously the Russian ruble encountering its problems after the beginning of the war. And they're taking a one-off charge. So it looks as if this is not going to be a recurring issue with respect to revenue. They also had some restructuring costs. So it's look, I'm in XLF. Full disclosure, I got into the financials ETF. So I am looking for a nice move in the financials. However, what I want to say about Citi, if you are bullish financials, I always look for these opportunities where the market, you know, it punishes the stock for its indiscretions in the past, and then, you know, what really says to me is it's a buying opportunity if you're positive on the stock on the long-term picture. So, you know, the fact that these are one-off items kind of gives me a little bit of possible incentive here to look at it. So I'm not saying I'm going long Citi, but I'm definitely going to be interested in some of these banking names today that all sold off, for the exception of JPM. And I think JPM was really the only one that was green initially. It's the only one that's green right now. Actually, Citi's green. What am I saying? Citi's up 1.5.
Yeah, that's why I'm like kind of nervous in this short, and I get why.
They got sold off though in the pre, right? It was like down 5%.
Yeah,
something like
and they still haven't made a higher high, which is also why I felt semi-emboldened to be in this short. But I do understand like the confusion in the chat. Like I know it's, you know, we do have that move to the upside. Now I'm kind of concerned this might be a bear flag because we are up in the day. But like I said, I really only trade during the confines of the midday, so I'm going to be out of this trade in 12 minutes anyway. Not saying that that makes like it okay. I did feel okay with this trade to begin with. You know, I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's all chill because I have like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm just trying to contextualize it a little bit. Like it's not a trade I would stay in for a long time. Cool. Period. Also, yeah, I want to take a moment here. I did pull up Baidu here on Benzinga. I will take a moment to shout out Benzinga. But also because Scarjo Rabbit, fantastic name. Is there any news on Chinese ADRs, especially Baidu? Not seeing anything on Baidu. I know we did get some economic news coming out of China yesterday with regards to some inflation data. So disinflation's still a bit of a problem there. But yeah, no news on Baidu today, but we will take this quick moment to say a kind thank you to Benzinga, because we are brought to you by Benzinga Pro, and you can sign up today for 50% off their premier news and research platform for retail traders. All you have to do is use the code TTV, capital letters, that is TTV, capital letters. I sound like those infomercials. And yeah, just use the link in the description to hop over to checkout. So that is the look here on Benzinga. Elon saying thank you, Adara. I'm not sure what for, but you're welcome, and I'm always happy to be here. Yeah, so we'll have to see if we stay, how long we stay in this city for, because we built this city on longs and shorts. That worked better in my head. What? But it looks like we're trying to break out into. Did
you know about 53. Tesla's price reduction today?
I did.
You did.
In
okay.
China.
That was in the watch list. I didn't read it. I just thought it was the shipping issues.
I tagged it on at the end of the shipping
awesome.
stuff. I
Good.
believe.
Yeah. Because they cut their prices, guys. Tesla cut the price of the Model Y and the Model 3 in China, by 5.9%. Down to around $34,600 for the Model 3 and $36,400. I'm giving you the conversion in yuan here for the Model Y, in addition to the issues with the Red Sea. So I didn't actually see that price cut earlier on. So interesting.
Yeah, lots of news coming out of Tesla.
Yes. What else is there to talk about right now, guys? We are really okay. So NVIDIA just broke through VWAP, but it's still within that kind of consolidative range is NVIDIA. This is what I'm talking about. Like, look, I mean, we see higher lows here. There's no question about that. And then we see a flat top at 547. At least we have since around 11:30 this morning, Adara. So 547 flat top with higher lows. Does that mean we rocket into 548.25, which is yesterday's close? Not really. We could continue to do this and even fail to the downside. Very consolidative. And when you look at the larger picture, it's lower highs here on NVIDIA, but the most recent price action is a 547 flat top. I mean, I don't know. I'm not taking anything on NVIDIA here. Just want to point that out for those following along, because NVIDIA's been all the hype lately, right? And we didn't get involved in it. Anyway, I'm still in this meta trade, about 20 pennies out of the money as we sideways range. Sometimes I'm 10 pennies, sometimes I'm out of the money 10 pennies, looking for that move into 375. If we get it, great. If not, the issue now is we're starting to put in lower highs, marginally lower highs, but lower highs nonetheless. So when we zoom in on the meta chart, at least on the micro time frame over here, you can notice every incremental candle has a bit of a lower high than the previous candle before it. So even though not by quite a bit, not by a lot, I mean, it is lower highs nonetheless. So I need to be cognizant of that because I don't want to give too much back on this.
Yeah, it's been definitely a rangy kind of day. NVIDIA kind of looks like, you know, like when like things are like flatlining, NVIDIA kind of looks like that, like we get all thin at the end.
Yep.
I see what you mean. I was trying to range NVIDIA earlier, but I was like, you can't range if it's like, you know, 5-10 cents. That's really the extent to which it's moving. However, I did get out of the Citigroup short, and I did fat finger my way out of the Citigroup short. And you want to know why? It's because I think I saw this, and I think my brain was like, I think it was like hopium or something that was like, you're just long. So I tried to sell, and then it was like, oh no, this was a short. You just added to your short position.
Uh-oh.
I got it out all at the level I wanted to get it out, because like I said, if we do a breakout, I break out of this trade. But yeah, no, I think it was. I love that.
Fabian's on point.
But yeah,
or
no,
is it Ram? It's Ram.
So that was, yeah, I think like hopium, but in a different way, where it's like I wish I hadn't shorted this. So I think in my brain it was like, you went long, it's okay, you're getting out at the top of this candle. In actuality, it was like, no, girl, this was a mistake. But yeah, so I think that's why my brain was like trying to protect me from the fact that I did that short. But it's okay, it all went okay. You know, just had to react quickly, punch out entirely. A lot of mentions here of Tesla.
Yeah, it's coming right back down again.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm happy I got out of that baby long where I did, because that was a moment. But yeah, again, we like that 220 was a huge level earlier for Tesla. We couldn't break above it. That's why I was trying to play the break into 220 just to see, like, you know, not even to get to 220, just to kind of get up to 220. But then now our new level is this 217.50. Look at this 217.50, just hanging out, cool as a cucumber. I think the break into this level, what we do here will be of infinite importance. Will we bounce? We'll have to wait and see. I suspect we will get back down there, though, because if we make a higher low, it's going to be, what the heck is this pattern? You know what I mean? We've made lower highs all day. We mostly have made lower lows, so I think it shall be an interesting look. I think that will, yeah, it'll be cool here.
You want to have a look at coin? A lot of people have been talking about coin.
I was trying to
The Katina man apparently was of the opinion that it should be shorted today, and people were like, Sean's right. And yeah,
oh my God, he killed it.
Yeah, it looks like as if they're getting big today.
Go Sticky Note Nation. Yeah, I'll look at the 5-minute, and then I want to look at the
NVIDIA
daily.
just rocketed up, Adair. I have to interrupt.
Oh my God, yeah, please do.
NVIDIA just broke through 547. I was just saying, we're getting higher lows to the 547 area. There goes NVIDIA. Here comes 548 on NVIDIA. There's a lot of volume coming in here. Good price action. We're about to go green here at 548.25 on NVIDIA. If we can get through the whole dollar level again at that at this particular point, we'll see. We're uninterrupted green candles here to the high side. Here comes 548. Let's see if we can break it. Yeah. Well, this is the area that I was kind of looking at earlier to get above the break-even point on the day, because that's where we crested out earlier, and then we kind of moved right back down about $3 into that 545. So, you know, we're not out of the woods. We have to make a higher high for there to be an intact trend, and right now, like it or not, we're still range-bound because we are still south of that critical resistance level being yesterday's close. You'll see that as the horizontal white line on my chart. So we'll have to wait and see here, but I just want to alert everybody that NVIDIA is making moves now to the high side.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, congrats to all the NVIDIAns here in the chat. Getting excited about that long. Congrats to you. That is a fabulous look. Yeah, just talking about coin. We had this sort of double top here right before 140. Then we swooped to the downside. We've made a nice little pseudo roundy face, maybe smiley face or roundy face here. We'll have to see if we curl back up. I think I like all this consolidation here at 134. Like, look at this earlier. I don't like it, but I'd like to note it. Then we get more consolidation at 134, basically the same level. If we decisively break above 134, that could be of interest. We are seeing higher lows as of 12:30. So I think this could be a very interesting look indeed here on Coinbase. Let's look at the daily because this is a really interesting. I still can't believe Sean being like, what do you think the highest level coin was ever at was? I say 230. He's like 380.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
it's kind of tough to know, but
yeah, no, he was. Yeah, it wasn't
things
like,
were crazy back then.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't like it was just kind of more like out of curiosity, right? Because I think like I was $150 off. That's nuts. But yeah, no, I think generally still, like, we're kind of getting into an interesting area here on coin, right? Because look, we had all of this consolidation earlier before that nice final pop into 185 at this 140 area. This was December 5th. So look at this. We're kind of coming into or below that area. That's my look on coin. That's my 2 cents on coin.
There you go.
I had to. Yeah. How's Meta going?
Yeah, not really good. We just got into a little bit of a problem here. We're coming down into VWAP, looking to see if it breaks this VWAP area. Otherwise, that's it. We're going to end this trade. About 4 minutes left on the show before we can all enjoy that long weekend. I hope you guys have a happy and safe one, irrespective, I was going to say irregardless, of where you are. I know Canadians, obviously, that are trading with us. If you guys don't work anywhere else, you'll have the day off. Americans already have that day off. It's a stat down there. So, it's going to be great. I'm going to need some R&R because it was one bad week for me in terms of the illness that I've been kind of fighting through. So it's going to be nice to have some rest time. I haven't been to the gym since Monday, right? I got in a 1.5 workouts on Monday. I did a leg sesh at night and like a pseudo kettlebell sesh midday on Monday because that was my day off. I actually took that day off. So it's going to be nice to see if maybe I can get some like light treadmill work today.
Ooh, nice.
Just kind of work my way back into it because, for me, the gym is kind of like mental health.
Yeah,
so if I'm
like
not,
the same way.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm not in my element, I'm grumpy.
No, I do the same. Like, I work out every morning just to kind of get myself partially into market mode, you know what I mean? Like, kind of get ready for the day. And I got to wake up a little bit earlier, so I got to do a little bit more kind of working out. So I know what you mean. It's like a nice kind of like refresher. It gets your mental in focus.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to be looking forward to on the weekend. A couple of minutes left on the show, Adara. Obi locked and loaded. The Neil about to be locked and loaded. And then we're going to take you through, hopefully, what will be a more eventful closing show because maybe the market will do something. A very consolidative time during this midday show, save and except for a couple of names. I'm going to say Microsoft really leading the pack to the high side, Tesla leading the pack to the downside. If you were involved in that, we were involved in Tesla, sadly not Microsoft. But yeah, just wanted to recount that. Higher bottom, yes, I see that salty bear on Tesla, holding that 218 level. That's kind of been the level there for TSLA. Thank you, Randall. I hope you have a great weekend too. Willy Wonka, I will talk about whatever I feel like talking about, my man. So no need to remind me what channel this is. Thank you for that, though. I do appreciate it. And I hope Bears versus Bulls. I hope you have a fantastic week, my man. The world's greatest moderator. It is not you, Calcanis. It is Bears versus Bulls.
It is not Calcanis. But no, thank you so much to Bears versus Bulls. As always, thank you so much to Jeremy Newman saying awesome job as always. Thanks again. Thanks to you for being here. We're so happy to be here and hopefully give people a little bit of knowledge. I feel like I learned a lot with these breakout trades, and I think it was nice that Microsoft pseudo breakout kind of happened in the wild, that 387 break. So I think that was hopefully cool to take some people through because I learned a lot kind of going through it. And we have a couple seconds left here. Obi and Neil getting ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Taking you through the end of the day, going into close. And it is almost 2 years. We're just winding up here, but we will be back on Tuesday, not Monday. We will be back on Tuesday with more fun market lessons. Are we good to go over there?
Oh, we're good to go. Yes, it is 2 o'clock.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So we will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. For now, Brendan's at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, a couple hours left. Let's get you into the long weekend here. Yeah, it's kind of a flat day for the overall market.